Folks, hey, how's it going? What is this hair? Look at once again. I thought it was okay, and it just. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com, patreon.com/prtpodcast. You can join now that we're back, and we're going to get back into the swing of things. We're going to be doing and renewing our commitment to you guys with the swag and all that. Got a few things to talk about, and we're going to bring a guest on. We're going to have fun. We always have fun. Don't we always have fun?
Oh, yeah.
I do. I don't know if you guys are having fun. Maybe they're just watching to see what they can do, how you could pounce on me. I was called Paranoid Roundtable.
Maybe that's the idea of fun.
Yeah, just watching me, trolling me. I see you trolling, you hating.
Just like hunched over, wringing their hands.
Yeah. Sitting in your mom's basement looking dirty. Yeah, so I posted something on Facebook, and everybody's like, "Don't let them get you down. You need to get past this." What you don't understand is I am past it. It has now become sport to me. It's fun. It's actually it's like a hobby. I enjoy it. Let them come because they get completely destroyed. Thanks to you. You don't put up with it. None of us put up with it. We're tired of it, folks. 70 years of the same garbage. And then you want to come to my Facebook, and it was my Facebook. They did that. Not on my personal one. It was on the show. I posted the comments he made down on there, and it was like, dude, you're just a science guy, right? You're a science guy, and why would any serious science person come to my show? It's a show that's based on mythology, he said. Like, what is this guy? They call him Lockbeard or something.
What is that?
I don't know if he calls him. I don't know if he calls himself that. I just call him a doofus that lives.
It doesn't even make sense. Lockbeard. You have padlocks on your beard.
He's got locks in his beard.
Oh,
I think that's what it. And apparently he's been doing this for a while. He's been going after people. He went after some friends of mine, and but I guess they're big boys. DW Vault and all those guys. They can handle themselves. But he never messed with me, and I didn't know who the hell they were talking about. So he jumps on my deal and actually, basically, I use really big words, even though my brain's about the size of plankton. Oh, it's good. My wife squeezes fresh apples. Fresh apples.
She gave us a cup. It's actually really good.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the selling ones. Don't tell her. She'll find out right now. I didn't drink it, honey. I'm sorry. I was like, I'll get right on that. She turns the corner. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I don't know. Anybody else has that problem? My wife has to tell me things that I got to do. And she's like, you still haven't done this and you still haven't done that. I'm like, I did. Totally lying right now. I did. She walks off. You go run and do it real fast. I don't know if anybody knows. My wife doesn't do that. She doesn't talk to me like that. I hate that. I had to lie today to somebody, and it was so bad.
It escalated really quickly.
I said something so stupid. He doesn't watch a show, thank God. He's one of my business partners. And he doesn't watch. He's probably watching something else, but he doesn't watch a show. But he put me on the spot, and I was like, I had to lie on the spot. And I don't remember what I said.
Watch this be the one show he watches.
Right now. But it doesn't matter because we got somebody there. It doesn't matter. It started at 8. So what? And I'm not good at I hate doing it. But he got me. It was like he was like, who's over there? And I'm like, Brian. And it's not like I'm going to get in trouble.
You just don't want him to stress out.
I just don't want him to stress out. He's an older guy, and he gets stressed out, and I don't want him to. He'll be like, "Oh, come on!"
And he'll run over there and try to do it himself.
He'll try to do it himself, and so we have to lie to make him not do stuff. I consider that lying in the line of duty.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I don't like doing it, man. But I just and then he's like, and then when we got Clark, he's like, "Well, let me talk to him." And I'm like, Brian's over William Cannon. I'm like, and Tony, you didn't even change your voice. You just did the same Tony voice. He's probably hung
I don't know what Brian sounds like, so it wasn't like
you could have not gone talk.
I mean, most people's voices are not as deep as yours. So you could have just gone a little bit high pitched.
Mrs. Pennyapple here. No, you didn't have to do all that. But you could have been like, yeah, this is Brian. Yeah, I'm over here. Yeah, I'm over here. I'm working at the, what is this place? The White
What do you
Hall.
hear? What do you say?
I'm here. I'm over here. I'm doing what I do over here. Or just, he doesn't know what he sounds like. So it doesn't matter. You could have just, and then, but I don't think he noticed. But then he calls back, and then I was like, oh, he has to leave. His girlfriend, and I didn't know what to say. I said, what did I say? His
He
wife?
said his wife.
Oh, it was bad.
It was real quickly that he had to leave. He had an emergency.
Yeah, and he goes, what's the emergency? And I'm like, why are you asking so many questions, dude? It's like, dude, you're giving me anxiety over here, dude. Just stop asking questions. Trust me, the guy had a problem, a personal problem. So, you go to the nearest thing. You go to the nearest thing, right? When you have a situation like that. And I'm just like, his wife is in a wreck. And I'm like, oh, God, why did I say that? That's freaking horrible. But he doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have a wife, so that worked out. I was like, you know what? It's good. I mean, he doesn't have a wife.
Yeah, if you have to lie, you gotta lie about someone who
Lie
doesn't
about somebody who
exist.
doesn't exist. Yeah, I guess. Is that the formula? I don't know how that works. So I said, his wife, and then he asked me, is she okay? And I'm like, if I say she's okay, does he? How long is it going to be? Is he going to come back or what? And then the questions start flowing, and you're like, you do one, you have to tell another, and you have to keep going.
Yeah.
The slippery slope. And then I'm like, well,
What was the name of that dude?
she's okay.
That character on, I think it was Hogan's Heroes. Nothing, I know nothing, or
Nothing, I want nothing.
Colonel Clink or something.
Oh, I know
like that.
nothing. Yeah.
Oh,
You're talking about nothing. I want nothing is fear and loathing.
Oh yeah.
So, whenever somebody, I hate that, and then they keep asking questions. And I've done that before. Like, like when you just like, where were you? And you're like, in jail.
I'm a terrible liar.
Where were you in jail at? You're like, Mexico. You're like, dude, it gets worse.
It was funny timing too, because as soon as we said all that, D was in the back, like, yeah, Brian can stay 3 more hours.
That's over there, Wayne
word.
Cannon.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian. We didn't mean to include you in our nefarious whatever the heck was going.
You are an accomplice now, though.
Nah, you're an accomplice of that. But it all's well. Clark, thank God for Clark. He still comes through, even though he doesn't work for us full time anymore. He came through and he did what he had to do. And he said, "I'll go cover. Don't worry about it. You go do your show, whatever."
We're gonna hear about this tomorrow. Josh Turner admits he's a liar on his own show.
How can you crush someone when they lie? You admit that they lie. Well, if you admit that at least you're being honest about being a liar. You're saying, oh, so I don't get any credit for that? Whatever. And they're going to say whatever they're going to do and say whatever they're going to do and say. There's nothing you can do about it. I found out today from one of the 3 different speakers that people were calling them, trying to get them to not go to the conference.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And then people were calling them afterwards, chastising them for going. And they were like, pretty much across the board, like we made money, we had fun, we made a lot of new friends, we had a great conference, we had it with a lot of new fans, we had people buying,
I'm an adult. I don't need you.
Adult, and the training wheels are off, and who the hell are you?
You're not supposed to make friends and money. What's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm. Or you could be like the person that told us, P. Pyrus, saying that we're not supposed to be making money at this because he's not.
Yeah.
And you're not making money at this because it's a very simple formula. You're supposed to not suck. That's it. It's very simple. And everybody's going to go, oh, he's talking about negative stuff and whatever. If you're with us, you're with us. You know how it goes, and we've been trolled so much now that it's become sport to us because they say some of the craziest things. And some of the speakers were like, you know what, we'll post on there and we'll let them know what's up. I don't think I've even gone and approved everything on the Paranormal Roundtable page, but they were like, you know what, we'll let them know. This is bullcrap. These stories they're lying. They're just lying, and they're not lying to protect someone. They're just lying just to be doing it. And I'm going to tell you this. Keep on with your bullcrap. And one guy in particular is about to feel what it's like to be in a legal situation. So keep on messing with me. Watch what happens. I'm just really sick of it. I'm sick of that guy anyway. This has nothing to do with, he's not trolling me publicly. He's threatening me. Like literally threatening me. And then the next sentence, he's like, oh, I called the police on you. I'm like, How does that work? You threaten me and my wife's life, and then you call the police on me. And I have documentation. But he's doing it to some other people too. You know, and I feel bad for one in particular. She's a female, and she's, you know, she's saying the things he's saying is incredible. But keep it up, man. You know, just you're gonna get a notice. Don't worry, because I'm not gonna play around. But folks, here we are. We're already like 20 minutes in, and we've joked around and we've done whatever, and we're not telling stories. We're not whipping them out. We got to tell stories because people believe that the live stream is here to tell stories, which it's really not. But that's what it has evolved into, and that's okay. We're okay with that. But don't you know, when I tell you 4 or 5 stories and then you tell me that I didn't tell enough stories, you know, which is really not stories, they're people's encounters. These are people who had things happen to them, and not all of them were pleasant and okay with talking about it. It's hard. So be a little more sensitive about the situation and a little more respectful, you know. Just rapid fire story time is not what we're doing here. You know, that's the book. You can go read the books, and they'll just tell you story after story after story. That's what it was. I got to say something very important, folks, and I need you to listen to what I'm going to tell you. Martin Groves has come out publicly, and he has brain cancer. So if you could please, and it's been that he's had it for a while, but he publicly came out, didn't want people to know. But if you could please say a prayer for Martin Groves, we would greatly appreciate it. Send him your thoughts, your prayers. We want him to heal, and he's also got pneumonia right now as we speak. So he's in bad shape, and he did not tell me when he came to my conference that he was in that bad of a shape. Matt M., shout out to him for taking him and helping him up into his room. None of us knew this was going on. So, you know, pray for Martin, please. He's a friend of mine. I think he did a great job.
I was just going to say he did a really good job speaking as well, that, you know, I couldn't even tell anything was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his presentation last year was a big hit, and he brought it again this year. And just like me in particular, during the conference room, like after party, at one point Martin had sat down next to me, and he went out of his way to shake my hand. He's like, "You're a good man. I appreciate you very much. You're a good man." You know, and he radiated like this positivity that like few people like will have that energy. You know, so Martin Groves, please keep him in your prayers. He's gonna be in mine. Add him to your prayer list.
Yeah. And, you know, it's all fun and games. We have a good time and we laugh and we play around or whatever. But when stuff gets serious, this thing is jumping around. Like it went to $2.99 and just jumped back down. Why is it doing that?
I don't know.
Do we need to make sure that the, did you turn yours off?
Oh, yeah, mine's off.
Yeah, mine is off too. So the conference was a success, and you know, we didn't break even. We're down a few grand, okay, and that's fine. But it was a big hit, and we did it for you, the fans. We wanted the fans or the listeners. I don't like calling people fans. I don't want, but the listeners. We did it for you guys, and for those of you who made it, you know how incredible it was. And of course, you're going to have people that are going to talk. They're going to, you know, the peanut gallery is going to say what it's, and they're going to lie. They're going to lie, and it's, you know, it's people that weren't there, and they're saying a bunch of crap, and they're saying that people didn't get paid. That is not true either. If you're a speaker that was at my conference, I challenge you to say that, because that's not true. If you spoke, you get paid. Okay, and I said if I even came close to breaking even, I'm going to pay everybody. Not everybody was, you know, it's, you know, nobody asked for money at all. No, not one person was like, well, you know, you need to pay, blah, blah, blah. It was all very, you know, just like, and then we talked about it afterwards, you know, and it was just, nobody was like there hounding me.
Yeah.
People trust me because they know I'm a man of my word and I do what I got to do. When I say I'm going to send you something for the Patreon, I'm going to send you something. That's the case. We're going to go over the Patreon this weekend, tomorrow. Anthony's going to figure out what we owe to everybody. We're going to make sure you get paid, or you get your swag. Titan says, Josh, thanks for all the work. Wonderful conference. Got to see a lot of family there. Blessings to y'all. Yes, Titan, thanks for showing up 2 years in a row. I forgot my freaking award again.
Oh, we
Oh
keep.
my gosh,
yeah.
it's there.
We literally got it.
Yeah, it was there. I sat down in the study too, and I forgot to bring it. I got an award from the Jago Paranormal Society. Okay, and I'm gonna bring it. I'll bring it on Sunday, folks. I'll try. I'm not gonna say I promise. I might forget again, but not gonna lie to you. But I'm gonna try to bring it and show you, because I really was very appreciative that they gave me an award.
It was really nicely
It
made.
was really nice, and there's a few other people that brought gifts and things. Like I got jerky and candles, and we got an award, and we got what was?
You got a wand. That was really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where is that?
Oh yeah, that hand.
Bernard Fox gave me that.
Yeah, I remember it with the boxes with the jerseys and stuff.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
something. I think it's in there somewhere. And then some of the speakers just gave me their books, which was nice. You know?
Yeah.
But I like to pay people for their stuff because it's their work. Never been one of those people that just accepts things. Like I want people to succeed. There were some other nice things that were given to me. I don't want to leave anybody out. Oh, Samantha and Tyler. Thank you for that beautiful letter and the little gifts. I appreciate everything you guys have done. It was very sweet and nice of everybody that donated. I see Larry in the chat. Larry won the
Joe
katana.
gave with the
And I didn't bring that
shirts?
either. I
The
didn't
shirts?
bring
Joe.
Joe Breezy brought the shirts from the
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre store.
Yeah, I forgot to wear it.
And then I didn't bring the knife that Martin and Daryl gave
Oh,
me.
yeah,
I forgot
that's
that
right.
too. It was sitting right there. It was right there. So anyway, I got a beautiful Bowie knife. I think they gave one to Barton too. But we got these beautiful knives, and then we were given, what else did we get? Anyway, a bunch of stuff. It was nice. It was wonderful. Larry, thank you so much for being a supporter of the show. And Larry Fisher is a proud sponsor of Paranormal Roundtable. He's the best. And he actually won one of the katanas, which was cool. And it's not rigged. We just, Ken Gerhard picked the names out of the thing because I couldn't read it because I had my glasses. I'm farsighted, folks.
I bet he was really
Yeah,
excited.
I remember seeing Larry carrying that katana, and it was real funny. He had this big old smile. He was like a kid in a candy store. He was so happy to win it.
And Anunnaki bro.
And that thing
won
was
the
so
other one.
cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Which one did he
Anunnaki
the
bro
white one?
won the Storm Shadow, that white one.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
Yeah.
that electric blue was
The Larry won the blue kind of like
yeah. Titan, thank you for the donation.
Who won the axe?
Liberty.
Oh, that's
Liberty won the.
Oh,
I
that's
think
cool.
he did. I think it was Liberty, wasn't it? Anyway, I don't see Liberty and them in the chat or whatever. They'll probably be here later or something. But everybody had a great time. We gave away silver coins of different cryptids, and Holly Vincent got the books, a signed book from each
Oh, that's
of the authors. Yeah, it was pretty epic.
of course.
She got an unopened bottle of cologne that I had left in the bag. So I said, "Give it to your husband. It's good. It's Invicta cologne. It's nice. I liked it." But yeah, we had a great time. Everything was good. Everything was fun. And I got some advice from different people that were there, that were my friends, speakers, and they were like, "Don't let the haters get you." They don't anymore. It's the time when it got to me was when my mother died, and it was like I'm dealing with the nastiest, meanest things people could come up with and think of, because their leader decided to come after me on the day my mother died. Everybody thinks I started that. I didn't start that. I did not start that. He did, and he did it on a day where my mother died, and people wonder why I'm upset with the guy. What do you think? But even now, I don't care, man. I mean, let it. Who cares? I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say because that's kind of I'm gonna mouth off because I'm mouthy. But as far as I had a dream about it, and my mother. I'm gonna tell you this, folks, and this is a story. I had a dream that my mother was walking along the beach with my great aunt, and it was weird because my wife had a dream kind of similar to that. But she just was like there with me, and she was telling me to forgive, let go. let go of it, whatever. So yeah, I forgive. I let things go. But it crushed me. Not only that he did that because I thought we were friends, and he knew doing that I mean, it just for 1 second, put yourself in someone's shoes. Like if your mom dies and you say, hey, my mother died, please, I need prayers, I need help. You're feeling lost, you're feeling hurt, and then somebody you thought was your friend decides to show their colors that they're not your friend, and I guess a preemptive strike is what it would be. And I mean, I guess he figured, this is the right time because he'll maneuver me into making a mistake and wipe me out, get rid of me. And that's what I took it as. And to this day, I don't think any of y'all can see anything different. That's what he did. And so then this outpouring of hate was just dumped on me. I had this one lady, God, in her profile, she looks like a sweet little old grandma, but she she tore into me, and she's like, stop crying. Everybody loses their mother. And she was just like, I don't care if your mom died. I'm glad your mom died. And it was like unbelievable. She's like, I liked you until you started this with him. I was like, I didn't start this, but how do you relay that? I can't relay that to 1,000 people that are a hive of bees. And it's like you're being stung to death. And it just, I wanted to quit, but I didn't. And then I wanted to quit after last year's conference. And then Lyle was like, kind of talked me back to life. Like, look, dude, no, do what you got to do. Yeah, it is, Dub. It's a horrible thing to say. And that's exactly, you guys back me up on this. You saw the comments.
Yeah, there was a lot of hate.
I mean, it was nasty. People saying some really kicking you in the gut. It was like kicking a man when they're down, things I would never do to somebody. And I cried. I cried, I'm emotional at times, and I felt lost. I don't know. My wife was there and you guys were there. Everybody was there, but I felt defeated. I was just like, this is awful. People you thought were your friends, you thought were your fans, and they turned on you. And, the guy knows what he did. And he's done it to a lot of people, and still people think that he's the greatest guy ever. And, you want to watch his show and watch mine, that's fine. Be fans of both, but just know what you're dealing with there. Okay? Know what you're dealing with. I never do something like that to somebody, never in a million years. My worst enemy, the day their mother died, and I had other people who were my sworn enemies, like Dogman Whisperer, who stepped up and even, I give him kudos for that because he was like, that's pretty sorry.
Yeah.
Like him and Jeff Nadone. I don't think Jeff likes me. I don't really know if Jeff does or not, but I've heard that he doesn't. I don't know what I've done to him, but I guess he doesn't. But they both stepped up and were like, look, I wouldn't do that to somebody on their worst day, like of their life. That's horrible. And then of course they, with Dogman Whisperer, he resumed the trolling, but he gave me a week to mourn, But he was one of the people that stepped up and said, this is horrible. I can't, But even after all that, people were still just like, oh, he's a great guy. It's like me. I throw a conference, I give everybody everything I can, and they're like, oh, you're a piece of crap. Not the people that went, and not you guys. But, you still got all these people. And so the only thing you can do, I had a coach years ago. What are you doing?
Are you just what? I was just listening.
Just drink it. He doesn't want to drink it, is what it is.
He likes to nurse.
It is so nasty, but it's very healthy. Just drink it and get it over with.
You got to just kill it. There's no.
There you go. It's just there you go. It's whatever. But I had a coach one time, and he told me, he says, and he was an ex-Marine, and it's dripping down the side of your face. It's got to stain because it's got that beet juice. Dude, why do you make a mess of yourself? So, but he said, when you're walking, when you're going through hell, keep going. And he was quoting. But the thing is, he was completely right. He said, dude, there's no way where to go. And when you're at the bottom, there's no way to go but up. And he was really good. He did do the cliche thing, which I'm not real big on always, but then he did it at the right times. And he was a wrestling coach, and he was a guy that he was a smart man. I mean, like he taught me some things about life, and just the first opponent you face is yourself. and you got to come to terms with who you are. And Joe Breeze, shot. Those are healthy shots, man. We're going the other direction there, Breezy.
Yeah, they're from Juice Land.
Juice Land, but you don't stop, and you can't, and so I didn't give up, and I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna catch the hell and the hate this time around too. But who cares, dude? If you make it into a game and it becomes fun to you, because that's what it is. When I originally, and I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to shut up, and we're going to start talking about some paranormal stuff. But really quickly, when I was a child, my dad was very not a nice guy, and I make no bones about it. And Anthony, you know my dad.
Yeah.
He's been a butthole for as long as I can remember. Still is. I haven't talked to him in a couple years, but I'm sure nothing's changed. He made me play. He made me play fast pitch baseball when I was 6 years old against fourth graders. They didn't have T-ball there in that town, so I was forced to play, and I hated it. After my first year of baseball, I hated it. I hated baseball. I wanted nothing to do with it. But the next year, I got a little better, and then I got a little better and a little better, to the point where it became like enjoyable. And the same thing with anything else. You're forced. I had no choice. And my mother, I know you've heard her talk about this, Anthony, about how she hated the way that he forced me to do everything he wanted me to do.
Yeah.
I was forced to play sports. I didn't really want to, because I was more a passive child. But when you're forced to, you make the best of it. And so it just got to where I was good at it. I became really good at baseball, basketball, football, weightlifting, boxing, whatever I was in. I was really good at it. So I got to where I did it, and I excelled. And it just became like begrudgingly, you just do it. And I thank my dad actually for getting me into that. But at the time it was miserable. I mean, we were on a bad team. I think we only won like 3 or 4 games that first year that I was, and I just remember laying on the ground after I got hit in the shin with the ball because they were using metal bats, and these were like, 8, 9-year-old kids, and I'm like, there's a big difference between them and me. And I remember getting hit and just laying there and wanting to cry. My dad watching me to make sure I didn't cry, just standing over me like, don't you cry. And I remember my shin hurting so bad, and I just was like beating my hand on the ground, and I was just like, I don't want to be here. Don't want to do this. And so I dealt with it. So all you do, and then when we were at the conference, I talked about Tyson Fury and how he got knocked out, but he got up. He got up, and he won. And when you are forced into a situation, you have to perform. That's what you do. So anyway, that's that story. And I'll tell you, at the conference, we got a bunch of stories. We got a lot of people that gave us a lot of information. Breezy says, I was forced to play sports too, but unlike you, I resent it to this day. Might watch the Super Bowl, but I can't stand sports to this day. I just got used to it, I got used to it. I mean, I had no choice. There's a lot of things that I was forced to do that I had no choice. It's just what it is. But we got one story though that was pretty crazy, and I was thinking, I don't know. I guess it was the person that gave me the story. They at the conference, they did not. It wasn't their story, but they said, I know somebody who's got a story. When you were talking about the lamp, now we had the what was it about the Turkish? I wouldn't say Turkish lamp, because explain to what a Turkish lamp is.
Okay,
First of all,
well, a Turkish lamp it's like it is a lamp, but it's like
It's very intricate
it's
and
a light
beautifully
bulb
designed.
inside like this mosaic, like
Yeah.
kind of like stained glass, but like the pieces are all different colors, and that stained glass makes like beautiful like floral geometric patterns, and it's like a sphere, and it just kind of hangs from like this platform. So I mean, they're really beautiful. They come in all different kind of colors and sizes. Then they're very decorative. You know, but we have some all throughout our house.
Yeah, we have a lot of them, and it's from our friend that owns a shop called Mozart in Lakeline Mall. And he's Kurdish, but he lived in Turkey for a long time. And we actually talked to him today briefly. And I told him about the episode. I said, go check it out. There's an episode down there, you know. And we have a lot of international friends that are from all over the place. And so we talk to some of them sometimes. And we did today. We visited a few of our friends that work at the mall that are, you know. And he's got a lot of cool stuff, like you know, different types of like selenite and all these different types of rocks and stuff. And Barry, thank you for that donation. I haven't seen Barry for a while here. It says, "Hi PRT fam, happy the conference was good. Thank you, we appreciate it, Barry." And so we were talking, and I told him, I said, "Go check out the episode. What is the episode called? Magic Gin? What's it called? The Magic Lamp?"
Yeah, the Black Magic Gin lamp, I think.
Yeah, but what it wasn't a lamp though. It wasn't an illuminated lamp. It was like a brass bowl looking thing with a lid on it, which what he bought at a bazaar in Antep.
Yeah.
It was in Antep, and so he bought that, and then a bunch of stuff happened to the guy. It felt horrible, you know, just reading his story, and then you know he's actually one of my friend's cousin, whatever. And so started out as a Dogman story, but I try to go through the whole enchilada to get the whole story. So this guy at the conference, he tells us, he's standing by the table and he says, "Hey, I got a story about a lamp, but it's an actual Turkish lamp that, like, you know," and I said, "Yeah, and it's the kind like we got," you know, he's describing it. So it's like this beautiful mosaic pattern, and it had but it had all these 6-pointed stars around it. It was like Star of David's or whatever all around it. And it was green and white, and it was really, he said it was really beautiful. And so he took it home for his wife, and he had got it at a flea market. He was driving through, it happened here, it didn't happen to him, this is his friend. He was driving through San Antonio, and he stopped at the flea market. Now, if you haven't been, San Antonio has y'all remember going.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge flea market in South San Antonio, over in Eddie Hill's neck of the woods, who was a speaker at the conference. And he's like, you know, he told me a little bit. So then I got in touch with the guy, and I said, "Hey, can you tell me this story? And I'm going to give you this one before my guest comes on." And it's pretty crazy. It's wild what happened to this person. And wait till Sunday, because I got some stories that are going to blow your mind. The conference gave us a bunch of stuff, a bunch of material. We already had a ton of material, but now we got a lot. So what ended up happening to this guy? Thank you, James Rose, for that donation. Very generous people. Thank you so much, everybody. You don't have to donate, but we appreciate it. It does help the show, and helps us to be able to do what we do, because we do have to take time off from work and all that. But we'd like to be able to do this full time, and eventually, just one day, my dream is just to do this 5 days a week, and just this is it. You know, we just work on this and just write the books. That's it.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my goal, but we're not there yet. But we did cross another mile. We're 27,500 in right now on YouTube.
We're growing fast and fast.
We're growing. And thank you, Barton, for that. The conference was a huge success, and you were a big part of it, Barton. You were always the life of the party. And so what happened was he stops and he buys this lamp. He goes to the flea market to find something for his wife. The problem was that he was a day late coming back. And he's like, my wife was mad because I told her I was going to push on and make it. And he was driving from the valley, and so he stopped in San Antonio. He was headed up to the DFW area, and his friend was the one that told me this story because he lives up there too. So I was talking to this guy, and he says, "Yeah, you know, it's not a real long story, but anyway, he got into he put it into his truck, and he said, dude, I stopped to get something to eat, and I could have swore the box that it was in like moved." And I got to look, and it was kind of vibrating. You know, I was like, you know, obviously, mind's playing tricks on me. It's not normal. You know, what do you do? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to say, hey, stop.
Just poke at it.
You poke it with a stick. it's gonna be what it is. But it was it was crazy. And so he gets out of the truck. He goes, I go in there and I eat and I come back, and it was on the floorboard. Now these kind of things were happening. He wasn't like really concerned at that time. It didn't is until later when things were happening that he was like, okay, this is messed up. This is actually what was the cue here that I should have said, hey, something's wrong, but he didn't. And so he looks, and there's the box is on the floor, and he's like, this is okay, maybe it fell, but it's still sitting upright, and he was like, he kind of opens it, and he's like, it's not broken, so he puts it in the back, and he goes on. Well, he gets near Austin, and one of his tires comes off just completely, and then he ends up messing up his rim, and it's just big mess, and then he's like late getting back. He finally got everything done. He gets back up to Arlington. Arlington's where he lived. Gets up to Arlington, which is in between Dallas, Fort Worth. It's like Fort Worth is in the west, and then Arlington's in the middle, and then Dallas is in the east. I hate wearing these glasses, folks. Come on, man. I need some donations. I get some LASIX up in here. I feel like I'm playing cards with my brother's kids. But no, so anyway, he gets home, and his wife's like, it took you long enough. So he gives her this lamp, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it. She collected lamps, antique lamps, all kinds of different lamps. And she's like, oh, it's so beautiful. And that was the first time she had been introduced to a Turkish lamp. So she takes it and she puts it in the mantle. Susie J goes, she says, the conference was great. Thank you. I know it was a lot, but it meant a lot to us. Yes. Thank you, Susie. And so she's like, she loved it. So she put it up on the shelf in their bedroom. It wasn't a couple days, and he was gone, and she was taking a shower, and she hears somebody clear their throat, and then she hears like stomping. And they live she's like, we live in a 2,000 or 200 square foot house, 2,200 square foot house. It's not a big place. It's 3-bedroom, whatever. It's just me and my husband. My kids are older now. They were gone to college. And she's like, what in the heck is that? She goes out, and she's like, we have a gun. It's Texas, She goes out. She looks around. She knows how to use it. James, thank you for that. And so when she went around the corner, she says, dude, I go around the corner and I look out in the hallway. She goes, I hear like a rattle. And I turn and I look, and I could have swore the lamp had moved. You know how you see things in the corner of your eye?
Yeah.
And you're like, what was that? Then she thought she saw something like shadowy move toward the lamp, and she was like, and I asked this question to him, and I said, Jake, we'll call him Jake. That's. And I said, Jake, let me ask you a question. I said, but prior to this lamp, was there anything unusual that ever happened in that house? And he said, not in that house. But it happened when I was younger, when we lived in the outskirts of Dallas. He said, when I was younger, we lived in Irving. Or I'm sorry, Cleveland. I think it was Cleveland. I forgot. Was it Cleveland? It doesn't matter. Anyway, he lived in an outskirt town of Dallas. And so we were sitting there talking, and he's a really down to earth guy. And he says, "Dude, it was the lamp. I know it was." He goes, "It wasn't anything else." And the couple days go by, and they've heard a few little things. They had a cat and 2 dogs, and they were acting kind of weird. They were hiding under the bed in one of the spare bedrooms. And then they babysat their oldest daughter's cat, who was always pretty laid back. He was pretty chill, and they were going on a trip to Montana for like a week. And the cat freaks out, and that cat was so chill, and it got along very well with the other cat and the 2 dogs, and they all started fighting. And she said there was something wrong. And so they were sitting up in bed, and she says, honey, I hate to be, a Debbie Downer. I know that you bought me this beautiful lamp, but what the heck happened? We had 508, now it dropped to 442.
I don't know. I mean,
60 people were like, hey, we hate this story. Goodbye.
No, I really
Um,
don't think it's on our end because on our end it says our connection is it's a healthy connection, but
yeah,
it's got to be YouTube.
yeah. Well, YouTube, come on, man. So anyway, they're sitting there and they're talking, and they start comparing notes. And she tells him about the thing that was going on in bed when she, or not in bed. I'm sorry, I didn't tell that part yet. The thing that was going on to her, when she was in the shower. And then he said, "That's crazy because I was sitting here watching football. He was watching my team, the Longhorns. And he's like, I was watching football, and you were out with your friends. Y'all had gone out for dinner or whatever. And so anyway, Anthony's doing something that's a little bit distracting. I mean, it's not. You gotta do what you gotta do. It just kind of says somebody said it's buffering. So, anyways, he's watching the football game, and he gets up and he says, "Dude, I eat this popcorn, which is cool because I eat the same thing, that skinny pop.
Oh yeah,
I
even
don't eat
like
a
that
lot
stuff.
of it. Yeah.
That's good.
It's good stuff." So he's like,
Yeah.
"I get up to go."
Well, you
eat
add
some
cayenne
popcorn.
to it too.
Yeah, I put cayenne on it and whatever. He actually puts like saltless butter, which is cool. Anyway, that's not beside the point. He gets up to go get some popcorn. He's like, I come back and the channel's been changed. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. There's no chance that you did it on accident. He said, no, dude. No, I don't watch Telemundo. And that was what it was on. And he was like, and then it did it another time. He was watching TV and he got up to go do something and he's like, I hear the channel change. I turn around and it's like on the news or something. It was weird. So they start comparing notes, and she's like, yeah, that's happened to me. And he's like, yeah, well, the same thing happened to her, happened to him. He was in the bathroom. He heard some noise, So there's all this weirdness going on. Let me tell you what happened. They went on a trip for a couple days to go visit their friends out in West Texas near the Big Bend area. Daughter and her husband come over, the youngest daughter and her husband. They have 3 kids. And she was the oldest daughter, the one that had the cat. Comes over, they have 3 kids. They were up one night. The youngest daughter was going to school up there, and I believe she was going to, I can't remember which, it was TCU or SMU, one of those schools up there. She's in college. She drops by. Oldest daughter is like, let's have a movie night, whatever, because they got to watch the house and whatever. And the husband of the oldest daughter says, there's something wrong with this house. I've never noticed it before. It's been 2 or 3 years they've been living in it. There was no problems before, but there's something wrong. He goes, dude, I could have swear I heard breathing like above me in one of the bathrooms. Really weird. Okay. And so they had some, a couple little weird things happen. Like one of them was going to grab a bowl out of the cabinet, the youngest daughter, I believe, and the thing slammed shut after she'd opened it. She was like, whoa. None of this happened before the lamp, right? They come home from their trip. The night that they come home, everybody's sitting around talking, and it's crazy. They start hearing this like weird, like rattling noise, and the way they described it was like a rattling, like if anybody's ever heard a rattlesnake, I mean, I've been in close proximity to them, and I've stepped on one. I've actually done, whatever. And they heard it coming out of the bedroom. The animals run out, they're scared, they're, whatever. One of the dogs, they said, would always sleep with them, but because of, whatever. Middle of the night, they just hear this, and they wake up, and the lamp is like in a million pieces. Completely busted. Now, I don't know how that could happen unless it fell, but it didn't. It was like the stand was still up there, and it had exploded. So it was such a weird, the numbers jumping around things really aggravating the crap out of me. So it's such a weird thing. It just exploded. So they're like, what the heck is going on here? They're trying to figure this out. They're sitting there looking at each other. So they get up out of bed, and it was a weekend. So they were like, whatever. And he had just gotten home from one of his trips. They clean it up. They just deal with it. But we'll deal with it tomorrow when we wake up, whatever. They wake up the next day. First thing that happens, okay, and how this could have happened is really weird. As soon as his wife steps out of bed, she steps on a big piece of glass, cuts her foot so bad she has to go to the emergency room. And she was like, we swept every inch around the bed. We went to bed. There was nothing there. Like, how could that happen? And she's like, maybe, it's not paranormal. Maybe something, they missed a piece. I said, you could have missed it, She's like, I don't know how. I don't know how we could have missed it. She's like, we were very thorough. We just, went over it 100 times, like trying to make sure there was no glass. There was glass everywhere. And she's like, and that was the only piece that they ever found anything, when it was just right there where she stepped out of bed. Well, here's the weird thing, and it's just like, it's not weird enough. I always say that, but then she said, dude, we get a knocking on the window that night, the next night, whatever. We look at each other and we're like, what the heck? So he grabs his pistol by the bed, like, and she calls the police. He's like, who the heck is knocking? And she's like, dude, because they had, some people in the neighborhood that have been kind of acting shady, whatever. So he goes out, looks, and doesn't see anybody. Then they get a doorbell. Somebody rings the doorbell. He runs to the front door and there's nobody there. When he opens the door, he does feel a weird rush of hot air. Hot air. That's what he said. Right after that, they each saw, no less than 4 times, they saw what looked like a greenish, pale green pallor to it, let's put it that way, person or being that was roughly 2.5 feet tall, and that it was green. Now, you remember Jovita.
Yeah.
You remember, my aunt, she's still the one she's still alive. My mom's only sister that's still alive. And our tia Jovita, her kids, my first cousins, and then her grandchildren have all seen this creature or little man. When they were little, they could see it, and his name was Max. And I'm not making this up. This is the truth. And if you were at the conference, you probably saw the people that were working there doing the catering. There was an older woman. Her name is Sue. She's my tax lady. Her son is Steven, and I've known him for years. We played Little League together. And Steven, he married my first cousin, Steven. Rosalind. She passed away a few years ago. But what's crazy though is that I've talked to them, both my cousins that were the females and the older ones that were male. Now, the 2 of them are passed away. But their grandchildren, I've talked to them, and they all remember when they were children, there was a little man that they would see. It was green, and he would talk to them, and they called him Max. And when I heard this guy talk about the green being, which the guy at the conference didn't tell me, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Really weird. Really, really weird. So me and my wife kind of talked about it. We talked about this case. Little green man. Here's another thing. It struck a chord with my wife because her dad had claimed to have seen these little green entities. And so, popped it. Yeah. My jaw pops in and out of place because I've been. So these little green monitos, little men, whatever, duendes. This little dude that they saw, they would see something run really fast, and he always wore like these brown clothes. And he would run really fast, and they would see him, and he didn't appear until the lamp exploded, which I thought was interesting. So it was like all this weird stuff kind of just kicked off after the lamp decided to blow up. The most, and it wasn't like a totally like a horrific, it was a nightmare, nefarious, we were forced out of our house, nothing like that. They eventually got and they're not Catholic, but their neighbors down the street told them, hey, we got a Catholic priest that could, help you, whatever. And he came and he did a blessing, and they put holy water and they put salt rock in the corners. And they looked into how to deal with this situation because it was unnerving. They would see this thing running around in their house, as he described it. What does it say? Cassie at Josh Vick mentioned on his channel that your numbers are going to crash to frash. What was it after the conference? So you know.
No idea.
Okay, yeah. He mentioned that. Well, he can blow it out of his whatever. The bottom line is, this thing was moving around. Okay, it was doing what it did. You know, just two things that stuck out with me. He told me a few things that were just kind of. I don't want to say they were, you know, other than these two things really got to me. One thing it did was kill his fish in his aquarium. Now, I'm a fish lover. I have fish in my aquarium. We have imbunas. They're African cichlids. They're really cool. And it kind of struck a chord with me. Their son had come by one day and was hanging out, watching TV, whatever, in the den, and he looks over and he sees the fish moving around everywhere. And he sees what looks like, and there's a wall behind this, okay? So there's no way somebody could have got in and did that. But put his hand through the aquarium water, and his hand was in the water. And all the fish just floated to the top, and then it vanished. And I thought, what a little piece of crap.
What do those fish ever do to you?
Probably taking energy, what it did. And then the other thing was the cats and dogs would be like, the cat and the dogs would be just minding their own business, and they'd go flying up into the air like something was kicking them. So those two things really made me, and so they did have to go and get, everything else is like you could deal with if you had to, I guess, you know, whatever. But then.
Yeah, you don't mess with our pets.
Yeah. And so that was one thing that really struck a chord with me. And so they did do something. And then get this, when the priest came and began to pray, everything was fine. A couple hours after he left, one of the windows just cracked. And then the glass just fell out. And then that was it. After that, there was no more, you know. John Sablon. Yeah, I like my fish. I mean, I don't, you know. I like cichlids.
Is that ichthyologist? Is that what it says?
Yeah, ichthyologist. But it's really interesting how this went down, because it was like they didn't see this little dude until after the lamp exploded. Which, you know, you connect the dots and you wonder about, you know, Tia Jovita's and Uncle Tino's children and grandchildren. They only saw this little dude when they were children. And when we were kids, they would talk about it, and I just thought it was some bullcrap, because I would go over there for holidays and stuff, and I went over there, I was being babysat, and I don't remember ever seeing a little green dude, but everybody that lived there did. And they still live in the same house. They've been in the same house for 50 years or whatever. But it's crazy. I know this: if you were an entity and you mess with something, you know, I'd be very upset. You know, you mess with my pets.
Yeah.
It's Shade Viking. Yeah, exactly.
I'm no longer going to be afraid of you at that point. I'm just going to chase you.
You're just going to be angry.
Stomp you into oblivion.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that story kind of resonated with me. What the little green guy was is, I mean, up to speculation. You know, who knows? I mean, it's hard to say. You can't really. You know, it's hard to put your finger on and say that. You know, I mean, you can make a case for it being all kinds of things. I had somebody that was at the conference that talked about fracking too, and where they lived. And I've talked to a few people about this, but, you know, just there's so many stories, dude. I mean, we could talk about that, but, you know, in areas where there was fracking and people seeing like these little green looking dudes. And I'm not gonna lie, these weren't all stories that were given to me. I was talking to Josh Onogi and a few other people, and we were going over it. And I give credit where credit is due. If somebody's story is theirs, their story. But these aren't our stories; these are their stories, you know. And so Yeah. But anyway, that's that, and we're gonna call our guest. And can you guys take over for just a second? I gotta clean these glasses off, and I'll be right back. You guys take over just a second,
Yeah,
and then we're gonna call the guest and get her on.
yeah. We'll hold down the fort. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Like what I think in reference to the story that was just told, is somehow, some way, the fact that little green guy, little green gremlin creature, didn't appear until after the lamp broke. I don't know. It tells me like maybe somehow this creature was bound to that lamp. Like if you listen to the Black Magic gin lamp episode, these creatures, they can be bound. It's like they're bound to certain objects, like the whole like Aladdin genie in a lamp thing. It's it's not just like something that someone just made up. It's based on something, and it sounds to me that that's what this is.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a fact that spirits can be bound by either objects, places, or like things like vehicles or modes of transportation.
Mhm.
It's just like it seems like these spirits are a little bit more of the trickster kind. Like in this kind of sense, it was more like it was.
Yeah, trickster's one thing, but like this thing was like killing pets. That's just like malevolent evil.
Well, yeah, I guess. I guess what I find more interesting is the kind of like I guess the trade of giving away these kind of items where like people are actually selling these magical items that have spirits attached to them.
Yeah, that's got to be like some seriously bad. Like there has to be spiritual consequences for people who knowingly take an object that has an attachment and just sell it to someone.
Yeah, I mean that can be okay, and especially if they're like, I remember in the story that the lamp genie story, that it was very odd how she was so adamant about like selling one piece and then she would sell another one to him like later on. Like I believe that when he was given those beads, that was that witch again giving it or selling it to him
Yeah,
again.
that it was the same lady.
Yeah, so like that's why I was like, oh man, why?
Yeah, maybe she could.
What is
change
the
her
long
appearance.
con in all of this?
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
is it the like releasing of spirits? Is that the whole point of maybe giving these things away?
Maybe these spirits are like, I don't know, man.
Because like
I
when
mean, like, what would it benefit you?
when she
What would it
had
benefit for what? What do you mean?
Like for a person who has an object that has like an attachment to sell it to someone else.
Oh, that's easy.
Well, I mean, I guess like it becomes their problem.
I think to me, what I think would be going on. My headphones are really loud. I can't. I'm trying to turn it down a bit. Get it. There you go. What I think would be going on would be they're feeding a demon. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, that's. I mean, and there's more. Well, it's not just simple, but I mean, there's other things to it. They're doing all kinds of stuff. I got some really weird stories that we're going to talk about coming up pretty soon. I saw Sam Phillips in the chat. I don't know if Tyler's in there too with you, Sam, and you and me and Tyler sat up and we talked, and I gave you kind of the 411 on some of this upcoming stories, and one of them involved like a cell phone. I don't know how you can. I don't know. It's. I'm trying to think of how to begin. It's so weird. It's such a weird story, and it's like electronics. Like we are electromagnetic energy, and I think there's like an attachment that can grow on people. I don't know how to like because there were two stories. One was a woman who had lost her son, and I'm not going to get into it tonight. But rest assured, I'm going to tell that one. And then there was another one where there was a cell phone involved. And it's almost like let's put it this way. Any object can be have an attachment. You know, even like a cell phone can have an attachment. Like a woman was just to lay it out there. I'm not going to tell the whole story because we don't have time, but she was getting phone calls from, you know, her deceased husband. I mean, like, it's really weird. I mean, it's like it was his number, and she would answer it, and then, but on the other end, it was somebody else who had the number now.
Yeah.
But it was like that person was calling her through that number. And then the same thing was happening to them. They were like, somebody's calling, you know, us. Or they'll get on the phone and they would hear a man's voice like talking, you know.
Yeah, Samantha Phillips just made a really good comment. She says, phones are portals made of metals and crystals.
And crystals, yeah. And we had that conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she says, I believe all sorts of stuff can come through. Now, here's the Al-Shem Marie. I don't even need to say the name of it's a forbidden book. We've talked about it before. They say not to even have digital copies of it. Now, that was something me and Garitano talked about the digital copies or whatever. Or maybe it was in the Nokia, one of them too. We were talking, you shouldn't even possess the digital copies of them. There's a reason for that. And I'm going to tell you, after this guest is off the air, or maybe we'll talk about it while she's on the air, I'm going to give you a creepy and dog man story about something coming through the phone. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to tie into this.
For real.
For reals, all right?
On my set.
And I'm going to give you that, even though we already had a show planned. We're going to call it Electronic Dogman, because there are people who've had pictures of these things, and now, Samantha, if you or Tyler, I showed you a picture on my phone of a Dogman, did I not? No, if she's in the chat, she can tell you. I don't show a lot of people that. The one thing I can tell you about what's his name over there, over at the old blah, blah, blah encounters, he's right about one thing. He has seen pictures. He does, you know, that really happened. He's not lying about that. Okay. Yeah. But, Samantha, do you remember the picture? I don't know if she remembers, but, let me go ahead and get this person started here. But I showed her and Tyler a picture of it, of this. It was the picture from Minnesota. Let me get this going. There it is. Oh, it's real low here. How is it on y'all's end? You hear it?
Yeah, sounds good.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just got off the show, and that's about it.
Yeah, you guys had a show tonight, right?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of like more of a BS show. We had a guest who had to cancel due to some issues or whatever they had going on. So we just kind of sat around and BS'd. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you guys talk about? First of all, let me tell you who this is. This is Brandy Butcher. Brandy, tell the folks who you are.
Yes, I'm Brandy Butcher, and I'm from Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast. And we're on every Thursday and Friday night at 8 p.m. Central.
Yeah, and so where you guys? So you're Central Time. Then where are you from?
Actually, I am located at the bottom southeast corner of Missouri, and Krista Tweedy, my co-host and partner in crime, she's located outside of St. Louis. So, yeah, so we're about 3 hours apart, but we're not bad. Easy to get to if we have to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And so you guys, how did y'all get started? Like, how did it come about?
Well, the podcast was already started with a lady called Erin Eck and Krista. Those two were doing it, and they were just kind of doing it every so often, pre-recording shows or whatever. And then I got to talking to them with them, and they said, "Well, why don't you join?" They're like, "You're a blonde, you do this stuff too," and I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So I'm like, "Why not?" So we started back probably last September, all three of us doing that. And unfortunately, Erin Eck had to drop out. She had issues going on that needed her full attention. So she kind of backed out, and it just ended up being me and Krista. And we've just had a ball doing it. We've had
So
we've had a blast.
sounds like a lot of fun. So could I be part of the Blondes and Booze? I think I think I'm pretty hot. I don't know if I'm.
Well,
Is
you
that a
could definitely be a
prerequisite?
boo. Yeah,
I
well,
could
you
be a
could definitely
boo, but
be a
not a.
boo.
I could be a boo. I'll be like Blondes and Boo. It's just Blondes and Boo now. We got the Boo over here.
Yeah, you could be a boo. Absolutely.
Cool. That's awesome. Then maybe I need to come on and start. I could wear a blonde wig.
Yes, you
I
can.
could Hulk Hogan. I'd be like, let me tell you something, brother. There's ghosts and Bigfoot in those woods. You don't know. We could do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That'll be great.
Sounds like a lot of fun. So we need to get together and do that. So you were at the conference, Brandy. What do you think? How was it? How was the conference?
You know what? It was outstanding. I tell you what, I came home so tired from just having a ball with everybody. Everybody was so great. There were so many people. The speakers were great. Of course, we had a booth, so I didn't get to see, all the speakers for a long period of time, but I did get to chat with them every so often when there was a little break, but I'm telling you, a fantastic time. Matter of fact, we were talking about that on the show tonight about how great it was.
Yeah, and George, that's a very rude comment to make. You said, "Can you please just talk about stories? No one cares about anything else." That's you, sir. Um, can you? Who's moderating here? I don't know who's moderating. Get Scorpion and D in here. They need to moderate. Tell them to get on the ball here. Bye, George. We don't need you here. We don't need that. So, anyways, sorry for that. There was somebody just being rude in the comments. I don't know why they have to be there. They don't even need to be
I
watching the show.
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand completely. It happens.
Yeah. So you have a show. What do you guys talk about on your show?
We talk about anything from UFOs to any type of cryptid. Of course, Chris and I are paranormal based. Uh, but we're kind of breaking into that cryptid side. We're really starting to really like that. Of course, I co-host with Tex Wesson on Texas Front Porch. I do that Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central, and he's really turning me on to it. And I'm like, you know what? That's fascinating. I am just really enjoying that side. But we do everything. So we have guests from, all different communities, and that just keeps everybody really interested, that we just don't talk about the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and so you guys, you said you were just kind of BSing tonight. What was the theme? What did you guys talk about tonight?
Well, it was kind of last minute. So we pulled in Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He was kind of reluctant. He's like, "Oh, I thought I was just going to be able to listen tonight." And I said, "Well, no, not tonight." And we pulled him in, and we talked everything about, of course, we talked about the conference. We talked about, we went to Falk, Arkansas before we even reached Texas this time, and we got to hang out with William Lunsford. We did a little bit of investigating and exploring down in Boggy Creek Thursday night before we came to the conference, which was pretty cool. I mean, we didn't see any cryptids or anything, but we sure did see alligators.
Mm.
We talked about that. We talked about Rob's having some kind of dream issues. He's talking about reoccurring dreams. So we talked about that a little bit. And
Bigfoot Michigan Rob is?
yeah, he's having reoccurring dreams. It's very
Oh.
fascinating. We're going to get him to sit down, and we're gonna hash this out and see what the real root of the problem is.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear that.
Yeah, he's just having reoccurring dreams. And then we talked a little bit about the issue I have with an attachment I've got going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the things that you were telling me about. Let me back up for a second now.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're friends with Tex and you're friends with BMR, which is Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Bigfoot Michigan Rob was in my book. And he's been on my show, and me and Barton interviewed him on my show when we did the Bigfoot project together.
Mm-hmm.
But he's having dreams. Did he say what they were? Like what? Like
Yeah, he was telling me this a while back about he just ends up different places where he doesn't know anyone. He doesn't know where he is, and then it's all of a sudden it's like he's almost walking through a door and then he ends up back where he knows where he's at. So it's weird. And every time he goes into this dream, it's the same scenario. He's in a place he doesn't know, people he doesn't know, and then all of a sudden he opens a door and then he's back where he knows, everything, around him. So
huh.
we're trying to go through it. I mean, this last time he said he was like, it reminded him of being in Las Vegas, like he was in a hotel or something in Las Vegas, like he could see out the window and see all the lights, from the strip. And it was really fascinating. We didn't get to talk much about it. It was a real quick phone call. It's something about he was cooking chicken and didn't want to burn it or something. I don't know what it was, but but
Did he say anything? I'm going to reach out to him too. I speak to him every now and then. But did he say anything about it was dark where he was at? Like was it nighttime?
no, he didn't say anything about it being dark. He just said that, that it's always somewhere he doesn't know. He didn't say anything about being. That's an interesting point, though. Was it
Yeah,
dark?
yeah, because there is a place where people go, and I've talked about it on my show, and it's actually not an episode that gets a lot of views because it was Laura Ketchledge who had written a book, and she had some very interesting, like spiritual things that had happened to her. But one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that she had mentioned was when we talked about it on that, I'd talked about it on that show, was being in a place like she was talking about going to a place when she was asleep, and then I talked about the city of night. And
Oh,
that became like for the hardcore listeners that like there's about 6,000-7,000 whatever that know that reference that the
right.
city of night is a place where and we had did Scorp Tony, did he ever come on the show and we talk about the city of night?
Was he on for the recording of it?
I don't remember, and he's not in the chat. I don't know what's going on, but
He just said that he was at the bus stop right now.
he's at a bus stop. Oh, that's real cute, Scorp. Go ahead and just go play around.
Yeah, go to your job, Squirt.
Go to your job or whatever it is you do.
Please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't worry about us and what we need from you. Let's just think about you. No, but he's he's one of my best friends, but he's been on the show a few times, and he talked about being at this place, in the dark, and I've been there multiple times, and then my wife and me talked about it, and she's been there, and then I talked, and then there's like we had a flood of people who have messaged us and told us that you guys struck a chord with me. You talked about this place there where it was always dark. It's dimly lit, and we keep going there, and it's like the same places. Scorp was in a hotel / apartment building. Seemed kind of like, well, does he call it an apartment or a hotel?
I think he calls it a hotel.
It says it's like a hotel, and he keeps going back there. And it's like, now C Dub just said, my dreams pick up where they left off. Now it's been happening for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm getting a lot of people talking about dreams where they'll wake up and there'll be something from the dream there. Where it's
Wow.
like almost like our realities are bleeding together. And
That is interesting.
yeah, it is very interesting. But, and that's the good thing about, like the conference. I mean, good gosh. I mean, if you can't get stories at that conference, you can't get them anywhere because
Well,
there
you
were
weren't
people
listening.
yeah. I mean, it was like everybody was trying to give me a story. And let me just say something really quick. Cassie, I really appreciate your efforts, but YouTube, the numbers are bouncing around all over the place, and we don't even know what the numbers are because when it does this, it'll go up to 600, then drop down to 390, then go back up. So don't worry about it. That's very sweet of you to care about us and try to get us up to 500, whatever. We always break 500. It's not a big deal. And don't bother yourself with it. Just to watch the show and enjoy it, and don't worry. The numbers, they sometimes YouTube's kind of, Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Marquetta was in my book. Marquetta Jones, ladies and gentlemen, she was in the book. Very interesting stuff. Rivos, oh, cool. Yeah, what is the Rivos is what the Lost Frequency, is that the name of his podcast?
I believe so.
The
Yeah.
Lost Frequency. He does very good. Gary Brand was there, and he does very good work. You guys do very good work. You should have more subscribers as good as you guys are. I mean, I'm definitely, folks, I'm going to announce it right now. I'm going to be on y'all's show, but I don't know. I can't do it on the day that was thrown out there because I got to record. It's a very important recording, so I just said I can't do that. You guys just interviewed, did you guys interview Jesus Payan?
Yes, we did last night, and
Yeah,
it
how did
was
that go?
absolutely it was amazing. You know, he's got some pictures that will just
Oh yeah, I've
stop
seen
you
him.
in your
Yeah,
tracks.
he's got some good stuff. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
that's why he
And
was
his
at the conference.
stories. Yeah, his stories that he was telling us, I thought, you know, I have not even experienced all of that, period. You know, and just to sit and listen to somebody who has, it's amazing because I hadn't heard him. You know, I got to talk to him for a little bit, but of course, you know, we're all busy and we've got to talk to everybody. And I just heard just a hair of it at the conference. But when I talked to him last night, I was just simply amazed. He is one special person.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something, and I have you as a guest right here, and I don't want to take any more time from you, but I have had two weird paranormal experiences that have happened to me. One happened to me last night. I'm going to tell you right now, it was weird.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know what I saw. I was leaving the Turner Farm, which is, how far is that from Phil Backlar's encounter? Like a quarter
Probably
mile?
definitely less than a mile.
Maybe half a mile?
At most half a
Half a
mile.
mile. And the Turner Farm is it's about to be no more because Samsung has moved in and now the land is going to be sold. But
Mhm.
I was leaving the farm last night, which is about 100 acres of land that belongs to the Turner family. But we were leaving, and we had dropped off two vehicles there because they're for work. And where I'm living, the HOA, they are like KGB and Gestapo mixed together. It's unbelievable. They're like, you throw a piece of paper on the ground.
They have wandering
Comrade,
patrols.
come to the gulag for the paper. Don't make us hurt you. Don't make us hurt you. And I'm like, okay, all right, sorry. Well, you didn't recycle for 2 weeks. We're watching you.
You go to Gulag.
You go to gulag. You burned fish the other day too. It's not good to burn
Gulag.
the fish. You go. You got to gulag. You know. And so
You not good fish, right? Google.
yeah. Yale. You go to Yale. It's like Venezuela. You know. It's like it's over. So we have this bad HOA. And so we can't have our vehicles all there, so we have to put them over there. And my business partner's already got like 3 patrol cars there, so I was like, okay, so we're keeping some of them at the farm. So we went out there last night, and I'm gonna say this on the air. I'm telling you guys. I already told you guys this. I think last night I saw something. It was dark, but it looked like a skinny Dogman, and I'm not joking. Me and my wife were just talking. Never seen one out there. Never. Now, we had in my book, Phil Backlar, he saw one out there. And my friend Sean saw one out there. I have never seen one out there. And as I was driving, she was talking, and I look over and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I kind of turned the wheel, and then I tried to grasp what I had just seen. And it just looked like a skinny, scrawny thing standing there. It wasn't a person. And it had what looked like ears on the top of its head. But it was so quick, and I looked in the rearview mirror. It's pitch. You know how dark it is out there.
Oh yeah.
It's pitch dark, and once you go past something, you can't look in the rearview mirror and see it.
See it.
And then my wife's
right.
like, "Turn around and let's." I said, "No, I'm not turning around. I am not doing that." And every hair on my arm was standing up because I do believe these things have a metaphysical presence to them, but I don't know what that was. And it happened so quickly that I'm not going to sit here and say I had an experience because I don't know. I don't know what that it was too quick to judge. But I looked at my wife and I said, I think I just saw a Dogman. I don't know 100%. I don't know. But then I wake up in the morning and get this. I saw the grid. It was like a honeycomb pattern on the ceiling. I just opened my eyes, and when I opened my eyes, there was this yellowish brown, and then it was like with green light kind of behind it, and it looked like octagonal shapes, like all in like a honeycomb. And I looked at it, and I blinked my eyes, and it was still there, and I was like, And so I reached over and I grabbed my wife. Of course, she just loves being shaken awake, after, I only see 5 hours. She's like, she's got 3 more to go. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, I just saw, and she's just like, what? And she's like, she throws the blood pressure thing. Check your blood pressure. I'm like, I'm good. I just saw, what looked like to me the Matrix. I don't know it was weird. And I was like, what the heck just happened to me, So I'm still kind of like, and I wanted to ask you because, I waited to say that until you came on the show.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? What are your thoughts on that?
You are only the second person who has ever said that they have seen something similar to that. There was a time, probably about 5, 6 years ago, where I was investigating a haunted theater. And people had said that they had seen it looked like bright lights on the wall, but it looked like some type of writing. But they
Uh-huh.
they they couldn't make out what it was. You know what? I have no idea. That is something very new. You're only, like I said, the second person that's told me that they have seen something like that. That is, oh, I don't even know how to go about that one. That's a good one. I'd have to do some research
Yeah,
to
it's
to
really
see.
weird. I've never it was it was clear. It was very I was like, am I looking at this? Um we have a friend that worked with us or no, where was that at? At a Rolane.
Mhm.
And he claimed that he had literally died, like he had gotten intoxicated and died. He's a
Uh-huh.
Filipino guy. He's a really cool guy. And my wife and me got to know him and his family, and they live up in Colorado now. They moved, but he claimed to have been walking around a hotel, seeing there he is with hotel, seeing the
Mm-hmm.
honeycomb pattern all around him while his body was being worked on in the hospital. So I don't know, and that was just one of multiple people who've told us about the honeycomb pattern. I personally had not seen it that clear. I've had a dream that, well, it's kind of like an in between.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a
Right.
whole nother thing. But so you go out, do you Bigfoot research or what do you do? What is your primary thing that you do?
Well, the I don't I guess I don't have a primary right now. Do I still travel across the United States? People tell me about haunted locations and how haunted they are. Well, I'm one of those people. I'm from Missouri. It's kind of like you got to show me. I'm from the show me state.
Mm-hmm.
you know so I do travel around to all these haunted locations. I've been anywhere from the Conjuring House there in Rhode Island to Waverly Hills Sanitarium in Kentucky to this November I'm going to Ohio State Reformatory. I have to see for myself. I want to know about these things. I want to see it. I also get out in the field too. I've been down to Brown Springs with Tex Wesson. We spent a weekend out there. That's where I believe I've had my first Bigfoot experience, um, which is a crazy story, but I believe it. I believe it. There is nothing else that could explain what I saw. I also go to the Land Between the Lakes with Barton Nunley and Letitia Nunley and Martin
Mm-hmm.
Groves, and I go there with them all the time. So I'm trying to get myself out there, because the cryptid arena is new for me, and I am in the learning process, the very beginning of the learning process, should I say. So I'm just jumping into this, but it's very fascinating. I'm from Michigan originally, so Bigfoot has always been a thing up there. I knew about this when I was a kid, and I always say to myself, I'm surprised I'm still alive because me and my friends would run around in the woods all the time. Didn't think about any of these things being there. Now, when I was young, it wasn't a dogman that they would talk about. They would talk about a wolf man.
Yeah.
So I grew up with that phrase. A werewolf would be thrown out there quite a bit.
Yeah,
Um,
that dog man, it just stems from that song.
m-
It's
yeah,
very
it's
few
it's
people
it's
see that.
yeah. I just like I said, I just grew up with the wolf man or the werewolf. That's what I grew up with. So um, those stories were very prominent in the area that I grew up. But I mean, I try to go everywhere I can to see what I can. I'm one of those people. I'm going to keep doing it until I can't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just want to get out there. I want to see all these things, and because I believe in them. When I hear these stories and these people are telling me, I'm looking right in their eyes and I'm like, you are absolutely telling me the truth. This actually happened to you. And it just it's very powerful, really. So I enjoy what I do.
You said you got an attachment. I mean, like, you want to
Oh,
go into that?
yeah, this takes just a little bit. I gotta start backing up, and I'll start from the very beginning.
Well, take
The
as much time as you
paranormal.
need. You don't have to rush
Oh,
it. We're good.
oh, okay, okay, no problem.
Yeah, yeah.
The paranormal has always been a part of my life. It's been a part of my mother and her side of the family. You know, with the women, should I say, with the women. The guys are all like, ah, you know, who believes in that stuff, whatever. But it always has been on my mom's side of the family, and we played a with the Ouija board. We've done all kinds of stuff, and the seances were very big when I was young. Um, but my mom said that they had bought me a red rocking chair at some point when I was a child, very young, and I would be sitting there in front of it talking to it. My mom's like, "Well, why don't you sit in your chair?" And I would say in my childlike voice, "No, hers is sitting there. She's sitting there. Hers is sitting there." And I kept saying that, but I'd walk around and I'd talk to that chair all the time. Well, a couple times my mom had walked in without any of my brothers or myself being near that chair, and it'd be rocking. So my mom knew right there that I could see these things, which it was no big deal. It was kind of like she never told me, stop talking to that. That's not real or anything like that. She just said, okay, well, sometimes that happens. And we moved on, and that's how my life was. I would tell her something would happen and everything would be okay. So let's fast forward to 2013. I had, bought a house and I'd been living here for about 5 years. My father passed away at that time. And my mom was the type of person who was like, I just I can't deal with his ashes in the house right now. Can you take them? So I did, and I brought them home. Well, every so often, something would happen, and I knew it was my dad. Little pranks that he would play with me at other times. Like I would be walking into the house, and he would stand in front of the door so I couldn't get in the door, and he'd start laughing. Well, I had that happen in this house that I'm living in now. So, it was just kind of cute little things. It's not a big deal. It's kind of like he pops in and pops out, like he comes in to visit and then he leaves. Now,
Hmm.
now we're getting to the point where it's a little bit more difficult for me to talk about. During the whole COVID thing, my brother got COVID in February of 2020. This is way before they started testing and all that good stuff. I think it was like a month or two later before they even did that. Well, he got very sick, and we thought we were going to lose him. Um, he was in Roanoke, Virginia. Finally, they let him out of the hospital 3 weeks later. We got him home. Uh, so we just moved him in with us because the effects of the COVID were so devastating that his health wasn't going to take it. His son at the time was 20 years old, and all of this. I'm like, just come on in, just move in. We'll all be one big happy family. We'll be all cooped up together. It'll be great. So in November of 2020, my brother felt better, and he decided that he wanted to get his own place. And I'm like, okay, let's get you one. So we got him one, probably about 15 miles from me. And my nephew moved in with him. That was in November of 2020. 2021, my nephew passed away in a single car accident on a two-lane road, about 16 miles from my house in the other direction.
Oh my
It was pretty
gosh.
quiet. Yeah, it was pretty quiet around my house for about 2 months. And then, things started happening slowly, like I would hear a knock or I'd hear something. And, I'm like, "Okay." And then, unfortunately, things started escalating. I had, curtains moving in my house, and I tried to figure out how they were moving. I couldn't figure them out. I've got it filmed and everything else, tried debunking it, and I couldn't. Then another time, I watched the lights in my garage go on and off, on and off, on and off, and I couldn't figure out how that was happening. I sat here for 20 minutes. My mother now lives with me because she is in her 70s, and I had her come into the room because there is a window that faces the garage, and I'm like, look at them, they're going on and off, and we sat there and watched them, and I've got those on film. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. So all of my life, this has been, just a kind of a constant. It's never really bothered me. It's like I don't talk to them. I don't invite them. I don't want to open that can of worms in my own home, just because it could explode and make things worse. So I just say, okay, this is your area. You stay here. This is my area. Stay out. And so we live this happy thing. Um, now let's fast forward to February of this year. February of this year, I'm driving to work, and I live in a rural area, and there's probably 5 houses on my gravel road. So I have a 40-minute commute to work, and I'm driving to work, and I'm coming up into the town where I'm at, and there's a street light there. There is no restaurants that were open. There's houses, but they're way back in there. And I see the shadow coming up to the street light, and I'm thinking, oh my God, somebody's out here walking. Let's be careful and not hit them. So I look back at the road to make sure I stay on the road. Then I look back, and that figure is gone.
Hmm.
Now, it reminded me of a silhouette of a man because it was taller and bigger in stature. So I'm thinking, okay, this is a man. I got to make sure I don't hit him. Well, I look back and he's gone. Immediately after that, I'm looking at the road, and then I get this smell all over in my vehicle, in my car, and it smells like burnt oil, like you had cooked too many fries and it's at the end. It just had that really pungent smell. And it stayed in my car for probably, I don't know, probably a quarter mile to a half mile. And then it dissipated. It was gone. So in
Wow.
March, we had a conference, a paranormal conference in Michigan, and Krista and Letitia Nunley were driving up there with me. But we were in separate vehicles, so we were trying to hurry and beat a snowstorm, so we all got up there. Letitia and Krista had stayed in one room, and I stayed in another, and I had the most peaceful sleep that I'd had in ages, it seemed like. There's no bumps or knocks or anything falling or nothing. It was quiet. I'm thinking, this is nice. Well, then Letitia gets up the next day, and she's telling me that she could hear things just dropping in their hotel room, like they were just falling on the floor. It wasn't in somebody else's room, it was in their room that they were
Wow.
having all of these noises. And I'm like, I slept great. I don't know what's going on. So I'm thinking
Are you a
maybe,
person that's sensitive to that?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
Absolutely.
it seems like you should have heard it,
Yeah, but I was away from them. So I'm thinking that it kind of like was being somebody who was like actually nosy and seeing what they were doing because I was evidently boring because all I was doing is sleeping and thought that, this thing thought it could go scare someone else. I don't know. So, after the conference and I came home, it was the very day I came home, and I'm going to sleep. And it's that point where you're just drifting off and your body relaxes and you can feel yourself sink into your bed and your pillow. It's just right there. And all of a sudden, in a loud voice, I hear a man go, Brandy. And I hear it loud and clear. And it wasn't in my head. It was with my ears. And I have to be very particular when I say that because sometimes you hear things in your head and you know that nobody's saying them, but you just hear them in your head like it's your
know.
own voice. This was definitely not my own voice, and it was in my ear.
I hate that when I'm
So
Oh
on
no.
acid and I hear all these voices in my head. I'm joking. I'm joking. You're like, what is that?
that
What's that?
yeah, I could get kind of complicated because you don't know who's talking to you. Well,
Yeah.
of course, that night I didn't know who was talking to me either. It was just a man's voice, one I didn't recognize. It wasn't my nephew, it wasn't my father, or anyone that I knew had passed. Because I know the history of my property. The previous owners who built the house, they're still alive and well. Nobody died on the property. I did all the checking. So I wanted to make sure. So I did all that. It was all good. Well,
Wow.
then fast forward that we're doing all these crazy things. and we end up in the conference in Gatlinburg. Again, I'm with Barton Nunley and Letitia Nunley. They were upstairs sleeping. Chris and I were downstairs sleeping, and we had other friends in the other bedroom across the hall upstairs. Well, they kept hearing somebody walking around upstairs and everything else, walking in and out of the room, walking up and down the stairs. They were hearing this, but nobody else in the house heard it, and nobody else was awake. But again, I had a comfortable night's sleep, and nothing happened to me. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah.
Just crazy things. I think this thing's kind of following me around. And matter of fact, just last week I'm at work, or actually it was 2 weeks ago, and it was very hot. And I was contemplating if I was going to stay at work because it was that hot. I don't have air conditioning at my job because I make cabinets, so they don't allow us to have air conditioning. And I felt a hand on my back.
Hold on
Somebody
one
put a
second. Hold on one second.
yeah.
I'm sorry. The stream is just, oh man.
Yeah, it just cut out and came back right now.
Great. It just in our numbers, I know that's not correct. I mean, it says we're at 143 now. All of a sudden, it's been bouncing up and down, going all over the place. Okay, the live stream went to an advertisement, came back all super high def. Got kicked off from the show just now.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me just now. It looked like the stream ended, but I had to go back and just start it again on my phone.
That is not unusual for me.
Yeah.
That is not that this stuff happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not even going to get into it. There's people that don't like me, and that's just, tough titties at a kitty, but the milk's still good. They can do whatever they want, I mean, they can try whatever. They tried to upend the conference. They did all kinds of crap, and
Well,
just
it's
making
just
calls, telling people don't go, and just, it's whatever, dude. I mean, when you do something not everybody's going to agree with, and they feel threatened with their little fiefdoms that they have. And I talked to Christopher Jordan earlier just on that subject, and it was while we're waiting to get people back in the chat. He made a comment to me today that was interesting. He said he's been to 2 Para-Unity conferences, and they weren't squat. This is what he said. It was like, dude, they wasn't no Para-Unity. He's like, it was not like our conference. He said your conference wasn't even promoting that, and that's what it was Para-Unity.
Nope. Right.
Yeah.
It was. It absolutely was.
So, I mean,
And
go ahead.
it just seems like to me, I mean, I've been to Para-Unity conferences too that are just, it's like you can just feel the tension when you walk in. But I absolutely did not feel this when I walked through them doors, last weekend. I was like, oof, I'm home.
You know why, Brandy? Because you were home, because everybody that was there was like it was a single-minded purpose. There was no bad blood. There was no ill will. Everybody was there for the same thing, to watch the show and learn and put in their 2 cents, and everybody got to say their piece, and everybody got smarter for it. We all walked away with a little higher IQ, I hope.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've got memories that nobody can take from me. So that is awesome.
Well, didn't Barton prep you? Didn't he? He spent a lot of time with me. So didn't he prep you for what to expect? I mean,
not really. He just told me you're going to have a good time. That's what Barton said. You're going to have a good time. I said, well, as long as you're here, I'm going to have a good time. Because we are friends anyway. But I'm like, well, yeah. And we sure
everybody
did.
sold out. Everybody sold out once again. Everybody sold all their stuff. I was talking to Dave Willie yesterday. We're neighbors. We don't live that far, 30 minutes from each other, whatever. Not even, 20 minutes from each other?
Yeah, we're pretty close.
And so me and David were talking yesterday, and he had said that Chad Lewis had called him and asked him what to expect, because he wasn't at last year's conference. Him and Adam Davies and Ron Moorhead were the newcomers to our conference. And he said, dude, just bring as much as you can, because you will probably sell out. Ken said the same thing. When a couple of the people, like, Adam, and what's going to happen? What do you think? And I tell everybody, bring your A game, bring what you want to sell, because our listeners they want to read, they want to learn, they want to know. They're not
Mm.
the average, whatever, YouTube, whatever. And, these people can talk about us and say whatever they want, but the numbers don't lie. Well,
Right.
they are tonight, actually, because that's not correct. I can tell you that. Put my
That's
foot in my
not
mouth there for a
right.
minute there, but that's the true numbers don't lie. I mean, when you consistently have 500-600 people in a chat and you have people that are real, that are listening, that are, and everybody there had a story to tell, and I just couldn't get them
Mm.
all. And I was like, look, you just gotta, make sure that you get me your story, and so I can tell it, and I do hurt some people's feelings sometimes because I'm not able to get to their story, or I'm not able to get, but I promise anybody who's listening, I will get it. I will do everything I can to try to get to it. If it's something I can use on the show, I will. And some people kind of get aggravated, or whatever, and they'll be like, well, I told someone else that story. You can tell as many people as you want. If you want it to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
What did it say? Cassie said, Josh, he said it should drop now, and it did. So Cassie is saying that
Basically, our live stream is being interfered with.
so he already knew it was going to happen. Whatever, dude. I mean, if it makes him happy about himself, let him do it. And and he doesn't have to do it. He has people that will do it for him because he doesn't do things. He does very, very seldom, like what he did to me. Very seldom does he ever do his own work. He's usually has someone else do it for him because they think he's a good host, which is amazing to me. That shows you that. But then again, people eat McDonald's. So I mean, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
people
Right.
don't have good taste. I mean, they'll be like, "Yeah, I like Hot Pockets. They're delicious," and you're like, "Really?" Because there's other food out there that's a lot healthier and tastes just as as good. Well, I just hope that I die by the time I'm 40. And some people are truly, truly backwards. I'm gonna tell you a quick story here. And this is an example. When I was younger, my friend Dennis, me and Keith had a friend named Dennis, and we would barely go over to his house because his dad was so weird. And his dad was really weird. And he came in one day and he's like, I made you guys a sandwich with everything, and all you got to do is make it. Otherwise, it's nothing. And I'm like, what? Like, what is wrong with this dude? It's like, so we go over there to you never know what to expect with this guy. He was a weirdo. So you go to the counter,
Right.
and on the counter are just one little plate, like a saucer, with 2 pieces of bread, and he had duplicated it 3 times. And he was like, sandwich is up to you to make it, what you make of it. And I'm like, is that supposed to be profound? Even like as a 14-year-old, I'm like, your dad's dumb. Like, this is dumb. This is not how you teach teenagers anything.
Right.
And yeah, and then he would just walk in, and it would be like 8:00 at night. I'm talking dark, right? And he would come in and he would unplug the Nintendo and be like, you boys should be outside playing and doing what I did when I was a kid. And I'd be like, it's dark outside. I'm 12. I don't think we should be out there. What is wrong with this guy? Like, it was an early age, and you learn that there are people that are absolutely insane. They are nuts, and there's nothing you can do. And his mom was just always like, eventually she left him, but she was just always on pins and needles around this jackhole. And I was like, by the time I think I was like 15 or something, I didn't go over there very much, but I'd gone by there one time when I was in town because I was living in the next town over. And I didn't know much about cars, and I still don't. But he needed me to help him, like, for muscles. So I went over there and I helped him, and our other friend knew how to work on cars. And he was doing a brake job. And so I was over there helping him, talking to him, whatever I could do, and visiting. And his dad comes out there and tells him, well, when I was young, I knew how to fix everything on my car. And then he literally was driving his car to the mechanic. Like, he was literally, and I was like, where's he going? He's going to the mechanic. I'm like, what? Like, what is wrong with this dude, man? And then, like, but it'd be like 2 a.m, and we'd be up, and like we'd be on the back patio making noise, and like his where he lived, it was like a residential area, but then behind there was like all these woods and trails. So we're in the backyard, and I to this day still don't know how to shoot like a crossbow or bow and arrow. I've only done it once, and that was at my friend Ronnie's house, and I never did it again since I was a child. I've always wanted to. I wanted to do it. But he had his bow out, and his dad comes out, and he sees, and I'm holding a gun. I'm probably like 11 or 12, and here's Dennis holding his bow and arrow, And he's like, "Oh, just checking on you guys. It's 2 a.m. You know, like, and that's okay. But you know what? 8 o'clock at night, we shouldn't play Nintendo. Like, I don't. It was just. He's just an example of the kind of people that are literally out walking around, breathing in the same air that we are. And you
Right.
never know when these NPCs are going to pop up in your life and actually be there and be a problem.
Right.
I mean, it's just
Right.
unbelievable. You just don't know. It's like Bigfoot. It's just, you don't know what's going to pop up. It's going to, last night, like what I saw, I don't know what that was, but I mean, it was just there. And me and my wife were just having a conversation about somebody. She was telling me about somebody she was telling me about their problem that they had, blah, blah, blah. And it was like in our personal private life, our life, whatever. And I was like, oh, really? I didn't know that. And I look over and I'm like, what the heck was that? And then I kind of moved the vehicle. And then I'm like, what was it? She's like, I don't know what that was. So you're sitting there, and it's like it just pops up in your life. Well, these people that do the things that they do, you don't know. They're just going to pop up at random in your life, like, I mean, the other day
Yeah.
I went into the store and my wife had me to go in and grab something. It was a skim milk or something. I don't know what it was she wanted. I can't even remember now, but because all I remember is going in and a guy pulling out a wad of change and throwing it onto the counter to pay for a pack of cigarettes. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then he was like counting the change in the clerk, and there's this big long line. So I finally volunteered to pay for it just because I didn't have time to waste with this guy.
Right.
And it was almost like he got angry that I did that because he was getting some sort of energy from being annoying. And I was like, dude,
Right.
it's simple. Just go. I pay for it. Go. Are you sure, man? Are you sure? Because I'm really enjoying this energy. Oh, and I'm like, just go. Just take your energy vampirism and go. Just go. And then I ended up like paying for that. And then I forgot whatever it was I was supposed to get. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got to get that too. And then it was just, dude, it's that kind of energy, that kind of annoyance that happens. That's what a lot of these people in this field are. And you were at the conference. There was none of that at the conference.
None
There
at
was
all.
no energy vampirism. Nobody was coming up and going, hey, actually, that wasn't happening. It did not happen. But I have been at multiple conferences where it does.
Yes.
Like you
Yes,
said, the tension
absolutely.
is there, and there's people that don't like each other, and there's just, it's just crazy.
It is. And like I said, I'm gonna have to say that as your conference was the best of the year for
Yeah,
me.
appreciate
I
it. That's
mean,
what a lot of people were
it
saying, but because you were there.
it was easy. It was just easy. I don't even know how else to explain it. It was just very easy for me to do. There wasn't any stress involved. It was just like set up your stuff, come in, talk to everybody. Great, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, and Robbie was there. He was real laid back. Everybody was having a good time. I mean, you guys' table was, I think, right next to ours.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
And everybody was like asking me, they're like, who are the two girls there? And I was like, those are the she squatchers. I'm joking. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. I did not. And speaking of which, everybody say a prayer for Jen Cruz. She's going through a lot of trouble right now.
Yes.
With her health and stuff like that. And also for Martin Groves. I know because you're good friends with Martin and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And for sure, you guys had asked, hey, do the show, whatever. I will do it, your show. I don't do a lot of other people's shows, and everybody knows that about me because I don't have a lot of time. What I will do, though, is make time for my friends. And you were my friends, and I will do it, your show, because you deserve it. You were very nice and very, just kind, very, very kind people. My wife said you were very kind to her, and I appreciate that. It's a very
Well, we appreciate you too. I mean,
yeah.
It's like you didn't ignore anybody at the conference. You paid attention to everybody. You made sure everybody was comfortable, had their stuff. It was just nice and easy. I can't say it enough. It was just a great pleasure, honestly, to be there. And and we do consider you our friend, honestly, because it's like we get along great. There's no drama. There's no tension. It's easy. It's nice.
Yeah. And Fab Welder says, I know why Wolf didn't make any money because I bought a book and he gave me a cat for free. That's a simplification, Welder. But dude, we didn't go into it trying to make money. We did it because we wanted to do something for the fans. And so it wasn't about that, you know. I don't, you know, I just wanted to do something for everybody that was there. And last year I had actually, she's right there. Actually, I'm not going to say it, but somebody said that I was not hospitable to them, and I was taken aback by that. And I went out of my way. I was like,
What?
yeah, I guess because I was really busy last year. It was my first rodeo with that, doing it myself. And even
Right.
though Ken and Lyle and Nick had taken me to a couple others and said, "Hey, this is how we do it," you know, I went and of course Craig Woolheater I met him over in was it Mineola last year,
Yeah.
and he was telling me about his conferences and how they do the conferences and all that. And I was kind of trying to learn a little bit, you know, to get the curve, you know, learning
Mm-hmm.
curve, whatever. And Ken was like, "This is how you do it." And so I was just running around trying to get things done last year, but this year we had more speakers and more everything, and so it was more moving parts, and so I was having to
Yes.
get my footing. Good night, Mike. Mike said he's checking out. Sorry that the thing's jumping around acting crazy, but you know how it goes. Mike, you're a YouTuber too. But so things are the way they are, you know. And but I was like committed this year. I don't care. I'm going to make time as much as for every listener that I can. I'm going to make sure that nobody feels neglected or like I didn't pay attention to them or I wasn't, you know, I was preoccupied or whatever. I don't want that because that's not me. That's not who I am. I try to give everybody as much attention as I can. I try to bring the energy and I try to bring everything my A game, you know. And so, you know, because you
Right.
know, you run into people, huh?
I did it again.
It cut out.
I did it again. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're still going, but some people got kicked out, myself included.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah. So if that happens, you just have to hit the refresh button if you're on the computer, or if you're on your phone, just close it out and open it back up, and you'll be right back with us.
Yeah, somebody's messing with us, and you know, I know that it. And Phil Stern, yeah, but it's not necessarily him. It's his trolls. I mean, it's his army, whatever. He's got an army of people, and they're good at what they do. You know, it's like. But the thing that gives me hope is that someday I'm going to be way past that. You know, there's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
anybody. So I don't really care what he does. He can have your fun now because the devil has his fun until Jesus returns. So you know, let them have their fun now because eventually there's not going to be any more fun. So do what you got to do. You know, just keep. You know, he's going to be doing what he does. I hate that this is happening while you're on here, Brandy. You know.
Well, you know,
Um,
it does happen, but the thing is that hey, there's always a replay.
yeah,
You
there
you
is.
can watch this later. You can watch it
Yeah,
later.
and I'm sorry
So,
that we have to get you back on so we can actually do this. You know, and Lance
mm,
Hightower was at the conference and he was talking. Him and me and Bettina were all talking about the you know buffoonery that goes on. Like, you know, people are messing with you. You know that's what it is, and
r-
all it
yes.
is people that feel threatened by what you're saying. They don't like it, and it's not. If you know the right people, you could easily mess with people. I mean, I know hackers, you know, that can do all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
crap, but I never would
Mm-hmm.
think of hey, I'm going to go and mess with someone else's channel because that's horrible. That's bad. That's bad karma.
Yeah, that's you know, bringing yourself down to that level is just it's not a good idea. I don't want that to come back on me someday, you know. So I'm just like, no, you know, you'll get yours in due time. I'll just wait.
Hmm. Yeah, you just wait, right? You sit back and just like this, like Gone with the Wind, just like a spider, just waiting. It's gonna happen. I mean, you know, what goes around comes around. That's the truth, man. I
Yeah,
mean, and
it.
weird people doing weird things, and you know, it's to me. I had a friend who does this, and he told me the best. It's like an assembly line of empty vessels. You know, that's kind of how he put it. You know, it's just it doesn't matter who they are. They're
Mm-hmm.
just they're gonna do that, and a lot of them don't even know why they're doing it. They're just doing it. They don't know where the hate's coming from. They just hate. They don't know. It's just and it's gonna just keep happening because one person stops, another person picks up the torch and keeps going because it's a spirit of evil, of jealousy, of envy, of hate.
It it
And you know,
it's got to be terrible to feel that way all the time.
can you imagine
I mean,
being them though? Because I mean, it's bad enough
right?
being the person that's the
That's
target.
exactly what I'm saying. I couldn't imagine going around and feeling so hateful all the time.
It's got to be exhausting.
And
Uh-huh.
that's why they're energy vampires. They got to get energy from somewhere. They got to take it from someone. You
Right.
know, I was at a
Exactly.
conference not too long ago, and I'm not going to call out anybody or say anything. Suffice it to say, some of the same speakers were there, just a few of them, but we were there, and there was one guy. Well, I say a guy and a girl that were there, and when they talked to me, and I'll show you the audience, they were like this. That was the other, and that's how they talked, and I was like nodding. I mean, I was tired, and I was like, oh my gosh, these people are. I mean, and I told my wife, I said, dude, these people just they sat there and they drank, and then they went to the next person and started draining that person, and you just, I mean, you saw it happening. You're just sitting there going like, and nobody smacking these, you know. It's like you can't.
Right.
You know,
It's
you're
like, can
so
anybody
aggravated.
stop them?
Yeah, I mean,
Stop
somebody
them.
needs to just take the steak.
Shake some life into them. I mean,
And there was nothing you could say to impress them, so you just got to go up and go, bam, bam, and the power of Christ compel. I'm kidding, folks. I didn't do that. Someone's gonna do that. They're gonna be like, Josh Turner did it on his show, or maybe go out and do it to somebody. But, yeah, there you go, Paula. Throw holy water on, because you don't know what you can do. And my wife is behind me, and I was trying to shield her from their energy. And then I saw them saunter over to David Weatherly and start doing it to him. And David was over there like, yeah. Like, you're like, how much can you drink? And then they had a little bit of energy so they could go run to McDonald's or whatever they had to do, you know? But you could tell they were just cornering people and trying to take their energy. And it wasn't listeners of mine. I gave them a business card, and the guy, and of course they do this little flippant thing like, oh, and then the guy goes like this, oh, is this your little show, you know? And I said, yes, sir. Humbly, it is my little show. My little, you know.
Little show with your little friends.
With your little friends. I gave a card to this guy. He was all impressed because Eric Konevsky is a good friend of ours, and he lifts weights with us, right? And he's always out at Muscle Beach and Venice Beach. I don't know if you know who that is, Brandy.
No,
we're
I
just trying to get
don't.
some
But
more people back in the chat here. But do you know, like, he has a prank channel?
no, I don't. I don't.
No.
I don't know who that is.
No. Okay. So who he is like he's if you look up Russian gangster, okay, he's
All right, let me write
hilarious.
it
Like
down.
so he goes over there to Muscle Beach and he messes with people he shouldn't be messing with, but he's crazy. So we're in there and he's got like how many people on his channel? Like
Last time I checked, he had like 100,000 subscribers.
100,000 because they had knocked his channel down.
Yeah.
But he had a lot at one point. He had like 500,000 people. But his new channel it's still fairly new. It's about a year, and he's got about 100,000 people because people follow him. But he goes to Venice Beach, and he's like, I am your Muscle Beach champion. And he made a belt that he wears, and he goes around screaming at the bodybuilders and tells them, are you natural, you know? And, of course, most of them aren't, so they get mad. And so
Right.
he works out with us, and so we're in there working out. And there was this guy, and he was like, hey, man. He was all, like, enthralled by him and talking to him. And he introduced me to him, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, and the guy had talked to this guy once before about the paranormal, just kind of briefly, whatever. And he had like told him his new whatever he was doing, his new project, whatever. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'll see you guys later." He goes, and I said, "Did you still got my card?" Because he had said something about wanting a card or whatever. He goes, "Oh yeah, I still got it. I got your card, your little show or whatever, You know, it's like he's a you know, and he's like a bodybuilder type dude or whatever. And it's like, so later on, he was lifting weights at this big tech, it's a big gym. The big guys lifting, a lot of heavy lifters, you know. And he goes like this to me, he snaps his fingers, he says, "Hey, yo, can you spot me?" And I'm like, "What, with your little weights?" I was like, "Man, you got it, man. You're good. That's only what, 425? You're good, man." I walked off. Dude, no, you know, it's tit for tat. You want to be a little shit, you know, go ahead. Then lift the weight. Then you're so strong, you don't need me to help you with your little weights. You're gonna call me little show, whatever. And that's just people's way of like of jabbing at you and taking energy from you, you know.
Yes.
And people will like do this thing where they're like, "Oh, how many viewers do you have on your show?" And they don't do that to me now, but back in the early days, you know, when we got bullied and kicked around, I'd be like, "Hey, can you come on the show?" And they would wait. You'd wait to see the response. They would go and look and see, oh, well, yeah, we'll do your show. After they got a good look at it, made sure that it was worth their time. Now, I understand some people their shows, you really don't have time to do all of the podcasts because sometimes people have two people on there. Literally, it's their
Yes.
mom and them, and it's like you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's your friend, find time, make time. Like, you come from friends of ours, so you find time to do that because that's the right thing to do. I don't go and look at people's numbers and go, well, let me see here. Actually, that's going to be a waste of my time. What I tell people is I have the best fans, the best listeners in the whole YouTube. And I feel that. I believe that in my heart and in my mind, in my soul. So when I'm on somebody else's show, I don't care whether their fans or audience shows up or not because mine are going to show up. And I always keep
Right.
stuff down in my notebook. It's written right here, and I keep my notes. And I got stuff that I'm only going to tell on other people's shows so that when I go on that show, their audience and the audience that always travels with me gets a good show. You're going to hear some good stuff. It's going to be something good. That way, when you go, nobody ever hears like, oh, well, that was a dud. That guy doesn't know what he's doing. I'm not, whatever. So I like to help people boost their numbers. Why is it always got to be, what can you do for me? That is the problem with this community. And that's why I did the main reason why I did the conference, because they can talk about para-unity all day long, but does it really happen? Not really.
No.
Nobody in this community wants to help each other. They all want to be like, this is mine, my little whatever. How many times
Right.
in the history of this are people going to take out of their own pockets and do what needs to be done to help people and to help the little guys get up to where they need to be? People don't give a crap. And there's some people out there that do great work. And they're unsung heroes like
Absolutely.
Daniel Jones. That guy, I mean, he is amazing, and he knows everybody. But you know why people don't know him? Because he's so humble that he's too humble. And I told him, I said, dude, you have amazing material. You should be at the top of the pile, Daniel, but you're too nice. That's the problem. And when you're too nice, you don't get ahead. And so what I do, I like to promote people who were those nice people like you and Daniel Jones, those guys and gals that are doing the good work that need to be heard. And people
Mm-hmm.
need to know who you are, and because you're working, you're busting your butt, and people aren't paying attention because they're too busy with the big name people, who don't give a crap. They don't care.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I'm sorry for getting
You
on my
know.
soapbox. I just had to say that.
Oh, well, no. I mean, you mentioned Daniel Jones, and absolutely, he's got some great stuff. I talked to him,
Hmm.
and I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
wow. I mean, people just need to sit up and pay attention. They just, they're not doing that. They're just too stuck on being hateful sometimes, and they need to stop it.
Paula just said blowing out everyone else's candles doesn't make yours brighter. That's what I was talking about with my wife earlier today. I was saying this, and what I said was, and I told you guys this too. What did I say? Chopping people off at the legs don't make you taller.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
Exactly.
go and knock everybody's legs out from under them, but that doesn't make you an inch taller. It just makes you a
Correct.
butthole. Why?
Right.
And when somebody's doing good work and they're doing better than you, you know what I say, Brandy? Then you know what? I need to raise the bar too. If the bar has been raised by someone else, instead of knocking them down to stay down at a lower vibration, you bring
Hmm.
your vibration up and you match their energy, and it raises all ships. That's not happening.
Yes.
What's happening is, let's see how we can break somebody down because they're doing better than me, and I'm too lazy to do a better job.
E-
Period. That's it.
Exactly.
We're getting a few
Yeah.
people back in the chat now. I'm sorry I got messed up, but you want to get back on track now? We got like 300 now back in here.
Okay. Yeah, we were just kind of dancing around until they got in there, but it was a good chat though. And you're right. And you're right. I mean, we just need to start lifting each other up and you know, just being nice. That's all I got to say about that. We just need to start being nice. There's too many negative things in the world already. We don't need to add to it.
Yeah, why out evil each other? I mean,
Right, right. I mean, there's enough bad stuff. We don't need to go against each other. We're all here
mm-mm.
for the same thing. We're looking for the truth, and there's just no reason to be ugly about it.
I'm going to say
Okay.
something right now, Brandy, before you get started. I'm going to predict.
Hmm.
I'm going to predict that you guys will probably, within about 6 months, if you keep doing what you're doing, you keep hammering away, you will be quadruple, double, triple, quadruple, whatever. You're gonna be bigger because you're doing good work, and you're gonna just keep doing what you're doing. Screw the haters, screw everybody that talks crap. Let them do and say what they're gonna say. They go after Bettina all the time. They're so jealous. They go after Mike. They go after all these other your DA. Everybody gets the hate, whatever, because somebody's doing better than somebody. That's ridiculous. That is, everybody has something to add to the soup. And
Yep.
I'm going to predict it right now. I want to work with you guys, and I want you guys to be known. You were so kind
We
and so
appreciate it.
generous. And I've heard people with their bull crap and their little hate, and they want to say this and say that, and it's just jealousy and anger, and it just reflects on them, not you. And remember that, because they hate me, they throw stuff at me, and I hate to break it to the haters, but me and Anthony, we laugh at them all the time. we laugh at them all the time, and if you want to start trolling, I mean, I'm hanging out with two millennials. That's all they do is troll people. You know what?
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna get under our skin. We don't really care.
Yeah,
We're pretty vicious as it is.
I mean, like
so-
we grew up like in the information age on the internet. So
I mean,
you know,
if
it's
you
not
want
gonna
to
happen.
catch
Right.
up to us, you got to spend about 9 years with each of us, get to know us a little bit, and then you
Yeah.
can finally get on the same level.
and we have people working with us too that'll jump in there and do and say whatever they got to do. I mean, you're not going to win. You can mess with us all you want, and you may have more numbers than us, but we're a lot more committed. Believe me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's what we got to say about that. So let me ask you this. So when you had this attachment, do you think it was because of what you do, or do you think it just happened? Like what do you think that is?
This particular one that I'm having issues with, um, I think it jumped me, if you want to know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was driving down the road, I saw that shadow. I'm slowing down to make sure I don't hit whoever's coming out in the road in front of me, and it disappears. I think it kind of like jumped in with me. I believe that once you start seeing these things and opening yourself up to it, sometimes you're not as vigilant as you want to be in closing that I want to say that third eye. You
Oh
want to
yeah.
close that third eye, and it may have been it was too early in the morning. I get up way early. This was probably about 4:30 in the morning that it happened. I was on my way to work. So I may not have been as vigilant at closing that off as I should have been. Or maybe I wasn't even thinking about it. Maybe I was worried about being late for work, or did I remember my lunch? Who knows? But I think at that point I just was not focused on keeping that door closed. And
I
I
think I'm
can't
more
stress that
disturbed
enough for
about you going
people.
to work at 4:30 in the morning. You do. Like,
I make cabinets. I make
yeah.
cabinets. We get up very early in the morning
Oh my
because of
gosh.
the heat, because of the heat and humidity, because the humidity here in Missouri, because I'm near the Mississippi, is horrendous. I mean, we had a day that the temperature gauge said 94, but with humidity, it was 116.
Oh my gosh.
So we get up
Ooh.
earlier in the morning so we can go to work and get it done. So I'm out. I work a 10-hour day. So by the time I start and finish, I'm out by 3:45.
Wow.
At the hottest part of the day, I'm going home. We're calling it quits. So we do that. And so you don't that early in the morning, you're not really thinking straight sometimes. You're just like, I didn't get enough sleep last night, and I just need to you know, remember if I got my stuff that I needed for work, because I have to have all of my stuff, my tools and whatever. And I'm like, do I have it? But this particular morning, I guess I just wasn't thinking. I just wasn't thinking. And I thought, well, it's a hitchhiker. That's what I thought, that it'll get bored with me and it'll leave. That's what we call them when they just kind of hop in and they mess with you for a little while and then they leave. They get bored because you don't engage them. They don't want to stay. But unfortunately, this thing has stayed with me. Now, when I'm in my home, I'm actually in my office right now. I told this particular thing, hey, you can have my office. The rest of the house is off limits. I'm not asking you your name or anything like that. Just stay in there, stay out of my area. This is my space. And I kind of lay boundaries, give it ground rules until I can figure out if this thing is going to stay or to leave, because it does happen from the places I've been. You do have it. You do have hitchhikers, is what I call them, quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, it didn't bother me a little bit, but I'll tell you this: on Thursday night show, I'm in my office. I'm doing the show. Everything's going great. There's no sounds in here. There's nothing knocking. And then all of a sudden, I hear knocking going in my bedroom. Now my office is off my bedroom and I hear the knocking going on. It's kind of like saying, "Hey, guess what? You're in my space, so now I'm in yours. Ha ha." You know, and it's funny because when I'm in the bedroom, then there's knocking in here. So I don't really know what's going on. This thing is starting to be loud. It's disruptive, and even though that I don't pay any attention, I do have a 13-year-old child at home and my elderly mother that live with me. And I'm afraid that once it gets bored with me, it's going to move on to everyone else in my house.
So let me ask
And
you a
that,
question.
mhm.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
I was going to say, and that I cannot have. That's where I draw the line. That's it.
You got to
So I
draw the
believe
line
that,
before that.
well, yeah, because normally they don't stay, because usually I'm very vigilant about saging and doing all of my stuff. But that one day, I just didn't. I just didn't. And don't ask me why, because I don't even remember. I just didn't. But
Mm.
it's like, but now it's coming to the point where it is becoming disruptive, and now it has to go. So we're at the stage where it's going to get, it's either going to be very easy to get rid of it, or it's going to have to go the rough way. And I know many people in many different areas that will do this, for me easily, but it will go one way or another. This can't continue, because it will
Mm-hmm.
affect the way you feel. It'll make you feel depressed. It does all these things to you. And I'm now noticing that this is it, because I'll stop and think, why do I feel so depressed today? Or why am I so angry? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'll start thinking back to what happened or what's going on. This thing likes to wake me up at 2:30, 3 o'clock every morning by,
Oh man.
making noises or dropping something in the rooms,
Oh
or
boy.
you could hear it walking. Right. So it's got to go now. It's
Inhuman
yeah.
or human? What do you think?
I think it's human. I don't think it's anything demonic. I
You
really
feel
don't.
cold or heat?
Most of the time it's usually chill. It's
Then
a
it
chill.
probably was yeah. So, oh my gosh. I got to tell you
Mhm.
something though, Brandy. I just for a split second there, I had this weird. It just looked like a black octopus on your back. I don't know what
And
that
that's
is.
possible. And that's
Yeah.
possible. Let me write that down
Can
so
I
I
tell
can
you
look
something
into it.
though? Human spirits
Yes.
sometimes carry their own attachments. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
because they're being preyed upon by something from a lower vibrational plane. And I don't want to get too woo, as they like to say. You talking about the woo? I'm wooing you. Okay, no. Okay, I'm just telling
Right.
you. And so what I'm gonna advise you, and this is not me being the boss or guru or whatever, the shogun of the paranormal, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't have all the answers, but white light and its visualization,
Mhm.
you can burn these things off your back. Now, it's what they do is they attach to the back of your neck and then they hook into your lower part of your back and your spine.
Mhm.
And this is going to sound crazy to people who've never heard this, but I have literally seen this. My brother had one removed from him, and I'm not, and y'all have heard this, Anthony. You've heard this too, Tony. What happened to him
You mean whenever
when the thing
the
came off
oh
of
yeah,
him?
he came up off his feet.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
levitated off the ground.
yeah, it was like something was like pulling him
Show
up
the
from
camera to you.
uh
Wow.
so yeah, and multiple people, like, everyone who's there has confirmed they saw the same thing, that
Mhm.
it looked like he was being lifted from the base of his spine and he came up from off his feet
Hmm.
and nobody was
Wow.
touching him.
Yeah. You can literally, now there's something you can do, and it is the power that God gives all of us, and it is in all of us because we are the breath, life, the spark of God. Christ came to deliver us. And then people get all upset if I start talking with you. But if you do, then that's on you. If you can't handle me preaching, people get all freaked out about it. I'm not here to give you a Bible sermon. I'm just here to tell you what works. Yes, James
Right.
Lewis, you're absolutely right. They're like parasites. And now I'm going to tell you something. What needs to happen is you don't give it any authority to be anywhere in your house. You have to denounce it in the name of Christ. Are you a Christian? Do you believe in Christ, or what are you?
I am Christian, absolutely.
Okay.
You
And
know,
you need to
you
get rid of
can't.
it in the name of Christ. And it's going to be hard
Mhm.
because it's going to challenge you when you go room to room doing what you got to do to get rid of it, and also denounce it and get it off your property. You know, whether it's a human, it's not your problem, whatever their problem was when they were alive. Some people
Mhm.
believe that the minute you die, you go up or down. Some people believe that you go to sleep and you don't wake up till judgment. And some people believe, there's all kinds of stuff. But let me tell you something.
Right.
There is so many different avenues, okay, to this. It's not that simple. And I can tell you right now, doing what you do, if you go to these places, you can pick up some stuff. So you call upon
Oh.
the name of Christ, and I can tell you right now, you have to denounce this thing. And I'm going to ask everybody who's in the audience, if you have any goodness in your heart, to focus white light on Brandy and help her, okay? And pray for her, and ask in the name of Jesus that this thing leaves and gets away from her and leaves her and her family alone, because she does have a child and she has a mother. And just like certain illnesses, they can affect children and elderly people worse. So you have to
Mhm.
get rid of this thing. This thing cannot be allowed.
Mhm.
Now, you did give it permission to hang around in one area, and that's a spiritual law. When I had, what's his name? Rick Atchestein on the show, he talked about the spiritual laws and how there are certain things you cannot allow.
Mhm.
You have to be strong. You cannot allow these things to be in your life. And now this thing can influence you and it can live vicariously through you, but you are its life source because it's now feeding off of you. When you were talking, it just flashed in my head of this black thing around your neck, on your back. Didn't look human. I can tell you that. And it probably is going to be feeding on you. And then you're going to be tired. You're probably getting tired before your day is over.
Yes.
Yeah. And so Blondes and Booze Paranormal, that's Krista?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. She says this entity hitched a ride to Michigan with us that weekend. It left Brandy alone and messed with Letitia and myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel a gender on it? Is it male, female?
You know, I don't. I don't feel it. But the voice that I heard yell my name was definitely male.
Mm-hmm.
It was a male voice that I heard. Now, I was on a actual show with Tex and BMR, and we actually heard a male voice break in and say something in the middle of the show.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, like I said, this thing is getting a little bit
That's weird because when we were
brave.
at the conference, I'm sorry to talk over you. I didn't mean to do that. What'd you
That's
say? Go
okay.
ahead.
I said, which is brave of it,
Yeah.
but that's not here. But when we were at the conference, what? I'm sorry.
No, it was weird. There was just one point where and I'm not making this up. I was just, like some people will be like, oh yeah, now I remember something. Yeah, right. But I'm being honest. I was sitting there and I was sitting next to Monica at one point, and I just went over there
Hmm.
to kick my back. I didn't sit very much at all at that conference.
Right. You didn't.
So I was like, I sat down for a minute next to Monica, and Starscream was there. Starscream, one of my guys from back in the day. He was the
Mm-hmm.
security guy. And so we were sitting there, and I think, Tony, you had come up, and we had just kind of taken a little break.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Brandy standing up with Krista and Robbie. We're taking a picture. Everybody's taking pictures of everything,
We were.
And
Yes.
yeah, and I saw you standing there, and it was the day. If I remember, it was Saturday. I believe it was Saturday. I believe it
Mm-hmm.
was the first day. It was Friday was the night of the meet and greet, but then Saturday was the conference. And I remember you were standing there, and I just had this weird thought or image in my mind of somebody behind you, but there was nobody there. I just was like, "What is that?" I had no idea about this attachment until you had said something. What was it? When did we correspond about that? About you coming on yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, yesterday. So I had no idea about this attachment, and I just thought, "Well, that's odd." But it didn't seem like a person or anything that was there. And now there are ghosts or spirits at that conference hall, because I
Mm-hmm.
talked about it on the show on Wednesday, which is not our normal night. We just had a show, but they were shaking the doors, and at one point I got aggravated, and the listeners in the audience saw me push something, pushed back, and I got really aggravated, and I was just like, "No, dude, I don't take mess from these things. You can't. You can't
Right.
give them any authority. Don't bargain with them. Don't reason with them. Don't make deals with them. It is in the name of Jesus, I denounce you." That's it. That's all
Right.
you got to do. There is no, and nothing. You go. In the name of Christ, I command you in the name of Christ and the Holy Spirit to leave. That's it. Period.
Correct.
There is no bargaining or reasoning or
It's
whatever.
not up for debate.
This is not up for debate. No, it's non-negotiable. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you take control like that in the name of Christ, then and you pray, watch what happens. Now, there'll always be a pushback because they try to see how far they can take it and how far they can push. But you have to just shove right back. You can't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been cursed more times than I can count, more times than I have fingers and toes. And they're like, "I put a curse on you. I did this. I did that. Blah, blah, blah." There was a guy doing that last year. And I'm not saying this is why he died or anything. I'm not just saying, but he passed away this past year. And I hope he got himself right with Christ, because he was making threats and saying all this crazy stuff. And he was an alcoholic. And I do believe he had an attachment that he wasn't dealing with, because when I closed my eyes, I saw something latched onto him. And it didn't surprise me when he passed away. So people
Right.
that dabble with this and mess with this stuff, and I'm talking about you, but they don't know what they're getting into. When you open
Mm-hmm.
yourself up and you allow these things authority, you're basically casting God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit aside and saying, "No, no, to heck with it. I'm going to just try to make my own way." And no, you can't
Correct.
do that. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be strong. And that's why you have to take charge of that. You cannot allow it, and you need to go in every room of your house, and you need to tell it to leave in the name of Christ, that it is not welcome in your life. It is not welcome in your house. It's not welcome around your family. It's non-negotiable, and you need to pray. And when you
Right.
do, now you need to focus on this, and this sounds cruel, but you need to focus on the white light burning it off of you. It
Oh,
made
yeah.
it crossed the line when it decided to attach itself to you. So burning it off like you burn off a leech. It's just like how I've gotten leeches, you just burn them off. That is
Exactly.
it's its own problem. It never should have done what it did. Now you can seriously hurt or injure these spirits like that, but that is not your fault, because you were it is self-defense. You know what I mean?
It
So
really is.
yes. And so you have to take charge, and you have to get rid of it, and you have to do it in the name of Christ. There is no other way. You can do all the different things that you want to, and it might work a little bit, but there's one surefire silver bullet that always works. And to me, that's Jesus. I don't care what anybody else says. They can throw all the stones they want. They can crush me down into the whatever. It doesn't. I'm still going to rise up. And I say this every day. By God's will, I live. By God's will, I die. If it's His will, then I'm torn into pieces. Then that's what happens. Because I give my will to the Father, which is the Father of Christ, the true one living God. People don't understand that, and they like to play around, do all this mental gymnastics of what it really is. That's what it really is, and you have the power over these things. Christ came here for a reason. You got to use
Mm-hmm.
it. It's a tool there. You got to use it. What people don't, though, these evil people, they want to confuse and obfuscate things and make it look like, well, it doesn't really work like that. Yes, it does. And I don't care what anybody says. And I burn
Mm-hmm.
these things all the time, and you have to. And sometimes you burn them, and this is going to sound really weird to people who don't know what I'm talking about, but those that are initiated
Hmm.
understand this. You burn them down to where they're just like a neutral little pinball looking thing. And then that's all that is like, this sounds silly, but it's like Pokemon. You know, I mean, it's whatever, it's going to become whatever it is that it's meant to be. The consciousness is gone from the evil, it's burned off of it. It says in the
Right.
Bible that God is a silversmith. He's smithing us, you know, and he's dipping us and changing us until where we become whole in what we need to be. And that's what you have to do. And you have to let it happen. You have to be like water, like Bruce Lee said. Just be water and let God do what he's got to do. And take charge. When the spirit goes into you and it flows to you, you spit it back out and you say what comes to you. You know? So you say a
Right.
really, really, really deep prayer and you prepare for battle and you get all the uncleanliness off of you. Everything you can. And then you confront this thing. You just say, look, in the
Right.
name of Jesus. And that's what you do. You know, you
Yeah,
have to do that.
that's basically what's happening now. I'm preparing for battle because this thing has to go.
Yeah,
This it
it
just
can't stay on you.
can't stay. Mm-mm. No, and what you're saying is 100% true. Chris and I are both believers in Christ, and we both studied demonology. You can't have heaven without hell. We've got it.
Hmm.
We know that Jesus is our savior, and then here we go. We got it. But the thing about it is my fault for letting this thing grab a hold,
And
and
then
it took
also
me a
for
little
giving
bit.
it permission to stick
Yeah,
around too.
right. For giving it space. I should have never done that. Um, I thought, it's kind of a stupid move from any paranormal investigator.
Hmm.
You should always cleanse yourself before leaving anywhere. And I can't tell you where I picked this thing up from. I want to say it was when I was driving and I was not mentally prepared or mentally cleansed. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And that's my fault because anybody who's used to it should know, hey, if you didn't do your prayer, you didn't bask in the white light, you need to do something. Well, like I said, life gets in the way, but now that that third eye is open, especially for yourself, Josh, your third eye's open. So, I mean, if you're seeing these things, you're definitely there. So, just as you have to be careful, I have to be careful, but I slipped up and made a mistake. So now it's like yeah, I'm preparing myself. I'm ready to go. And I'm sure Krista's saying stuff in the comments that we just had this conversation that she's going to come down here and we're going to take care of it.
Hmm.
We're going to get it
Bernard
out of my
Fox just
house.
said, "Don't blame yourself. Don't beat yourself up. We're all here. We all have Jesus. Just call upon
Eh,
Christ and do ask for forgiveness for whatever, you know, because you have to try to, be clean. And also, every day, anybody wakes up. First thing I do is say a really short prayer before my feet even touch the ground. And then
mm,
later on, what do we do, guys?
Say the morning prayer.
The morning prayer. Even if it's afternoon, we say the prayer
Yeah.
because
We
sometimes
always
we
say a
don't.
prayer together, though. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
we pray together
that's a
because where
very
two or
good
more are
idea.
gathered together, there's power in His name. Where two or more are gathered together. And folks, I'm a very pragmatic individual. I'm not Mr. Spooky Goofy guy. I'm not going around going, "Here's your spooky ghost over here." I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who knows the nature of reality. That's the guy that I am, and I know that what I know to
Hmm.
be real and what
Hmm.
I have uncovered and what I have learned, what works is the power of Christ. And it has
Hmm.
saved me more times than I can count. I should be dead over and over and over again, Only God can spare you. That's it. I mean, I
That's
have
right.
those glasses were giving me a headache. But God spared me over and over again. I mean, when you've been hurt like I have, when you've fallen through a second story building and hit wood, wooden planks and didn't break my back, you get stabbed and it doesn't kill you. And it's the doctor's over. Oh, it's a miracle. I can't believe you're alive. Oh, this is a miracle. My blood pressure
Right.
got so bad that they had me in the hospital for 6 days. They said that I was lucky to be alive, right, Anthony? You were
Yep.
there.
Yeah, that was scary.
I mean, there was some serious stuff that's happened to me.
Hmm.
We've almost had accidents so many times, and we've just how did we do it? I mean, yeah, you get reflexes and everything else, but God gives you that, and people never. They always want to be like, I did this, I did that. No, you didn't. God lets you do
Right.
that, and you should give thanks for that. But that's
Right.
not what people do. They're boastful and they're prideful. And I'm a sinner. You know, I do. How do you say it? Like I'm guilty of it too. I do it too. I get into this, with people and mess with people and get, and stoop down to that level because to me it's fun, but it's not. Also, you shouldn't do it. I get it. You made a mistake. Nobody's judging
Right.
you for that, especially here at Paranormal Roundtable. We're all here because we're mistakes. It's like, oh, I stumbled onto this
Yeah.
guy's channel. I might just watch him a little bit. Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I'm not doing anything else. I was ironing my socks, but I guess I'm gonna watch him.
I think the beautiful
Right.
thing.
Right.
I think the beautiful thing about the straight and narrow is that although it's the most difficult path to walk, and inevitably we will all stumble, that path is always going to be there for us to follow. It's not going anywhere. It's always there
Right.
for us. Christ laid it out. He walked among us and showed us how to live and was very patient with us. And that his words will always be. They always have been and always will be. His examples will always be there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're nobody to judge anybody, and he said that cast the first stone for a reason. The only person that was qualified to throw the rock didn't, and
Hmm.
that's it right there. I don't know what I felt or saw that day when you were standing there. It just kind of was like, what is that? It just like a feeling, not to sound Star Warsy, but it was like a disturbance in the force. It was like I could tell there was something there, but I didn't know what. You just feel it. You got that feeling that you get, and I'm going to be real honest. Life isn't Star Wars, but there were a lot of lessons there because I know that at one time I dwelt on the dark side and I could feel different things and see different things. And when I went back to the good where I belonged,
Hmm.
I began to feel the good. I began to feel how the evil, when it would come, and where it would come from. And you can check it. And
Right.
people think that there's nothing to be gained from turning. They think this world, because it's evil, this whole world could fall into a big black hole. But at the end, you still have your soul and you have your salvation, and that's what really matters. All the rest of it is going to fall away.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And you're on this show for a reason. And it was funny because we were just talking with my brother earlier. We went to go eat at what was it called? We didn't eat. We picked the food. I still haven't eaten.
Sky Garden.
Sky Garden, great place. But my brother was like, you remember the girl that came on the show? I'm not going to mention names, but I had to kind of, for lack of a better term, minister to her because she was lost and she was talking about all kinds of stuff she was doing.
Hmm.
And she's
Hmm.
a very good friend of mine. We're very good friends, but I felt that she needed that. And that's our
Right.
job, is to bring each other back. It's not our job to judge and be like, well, I saw you did this and you did that. And, I see people doing crap all the time and I'm thinking, man, I know that's a mistake, but I've been there. I did it too. I've done it too. I've made mistakes. I've
Right.
done things. Who hasn't cheated or lied or done all kinds of things? I admitted on the air earlier that I lied to my business partner. I hated it. I didn't like that I did that. But I felt like I was sparing him from having to get up and go do something. And so I did it. But then how does it go? After I told that lie, you guys witnessed it.
Yeah.
I had to tell two more to save that original lie. And then it's easier just to go, you know what? I'm sorry. I just lied, But
Right.
it's that slippery slope, you were so oppressed that you're like, you know what? I have to reason or bargain to get this thing to leave me alone because you feel so assaulted. And that's a
Hmm.
shame that, because you buckled. That doesn't reflect on you. That reflects on us and our original sin as a whole, as a collective. When our brothers and sisters fall, it's our job to help pick them up, and we have to fight with them, not go, oh, look at you, you fell in the mud. Oh, I'm more gooder than you, 'cause that's what people do. That's what people
Right.
do. One of the most disgusting things I saw as of late, which was about 2 weeks ago, I saw a guy laying on the concrete, and he was just with his hand up. And these people were just walking around him, not even trying to help him or whatever. And I was further away, like I was walking, and he got up and he stood there, and and where were we? Oh, the outlet mall. The outlet mall. And there was a guy laying there, and he had fallen down. He got up. But I don't know how many people walked by this person and just ignored him. And I'm like, by the time I got over there, he was already up. But he's like, I think I'm okay, and then he was an elderly man. Like, why would you walk by an elderly man with his
Right.
hand up? What is wrong with you? And this one guy had the mask on. Oh my gosh, I don't want to get no cooties from this guy, and they had a cross on. I was like, if you're a believer, do you think God's going to give you a germ by helping someone up? No. At that moment is your anointing. That is your time when someone is in need, when they need you. And I hate to do this, I don't hate to, but I'm sorry, folks. But this has to be said. That is your time. That is your anointing. It's not, and God doesn't need to test you. He doesn't have human characteristics like that. It's up to you and your spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to do the right thing for yourself. God doesn't need you to do the right thing. He doesn't need any of us. He's not a respecter of man. You have to do what's right for yourself. When you have an opportunity and someone needs you and that you can help them, then it's your job to help them. If you have $500 and somebody says, hey, we're having a function for somebody and we need some people to donate, we're you can take that $500 and you can take your family on a trip or go whatever, do what you got to do, whatever. But that money can help that person do and help, and that you got to do it. And when you feel that tug in your heart, do what's right. Do what's right. Help that person. Do what is right.
Exactly.
But so many people are going to be like, nah, they're going to do the selfish thing and be like, I'm going to go buy some shoes. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. And people, and this is what somebody said to me the other day when I was mentioning that. They said, oh, because you have money. Did I always have money? No, I didn't. I slept in my car, and I used these to make money. Now, you think I'm joking, and that's my story. I'll tell you right now. I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. But you know what? Every chance I got, I helped people because somebody helped me. My friend worked at the 7-Eleven, and the sandwiches they were going to throw away, I ate those. It's one of the most miserable times of my life. And I went through it 2 different times. And I didn't have people to help me. I would have given anything to have a place to lay my head. I can tell you right now, there's a lot of people that are struggling. And I see people walk by that guy. It broke my heart. Anthony was in the bathroom. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I didn't even tell you, Anthony. It's not anybody's business. And but it was that right there it made me so mad. I just had to I had to go back to the truck. That's why when you came out, Anthony, I was gone. I just was like, I couldn't stand there. It was like just ridiculous. And it made me sick because people are that way. They see someone in help and they don't do anything, but they're there to make sure that they can make your life miserable because they're letting the demons push them around and do whatever they want, knowing you're being bullied by something that's weaker than you because you have the ultimate weapon and you're not using it. We're living in fear.
Yeah.
And these creatures do generate a lot of fear. Oh, yeah, they do. And they do a lot of evil. They do a lot of bad. And yes, the world is going to hell in a handbasket, but that doesn't mean you have to go with it. All you got to do is fall on your knees and confess that he is Lord. And that's it. Ask Christ into your heart. Pray. When you pray to God, you say, God, I come unto you in the name of Christ. I ask these things in the name of Christ that they be done if it is your will. You don't worship Christ. You worship God through Christ. That's how you're supposed to do it. And if you want to argue it, you can argue it, but that's what you're supposed to do. Somebody asked me that the other day. Actually, it was a good dear friend of mine. It was Vault. He asked me about that. He's like, I don't know about, how it works with Christ and God and all that. And I told him what I know because he's trying to change his life and do what's right. Meanwhile, we're being threatened by a guy who's saying he's going to kill us and got our heads off, all this other stuff. And I was like, dude, let him, whatever. If I lose my head for Christ, that's a glory. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? I'm not a what do you call that? A lunatic. What do you call those people that are fanatics?
Yeah.
But if you gave me the choice, my head's coming off because I'm not going to. I'm going to lay down my life, and I would lay down my life for any other living human being who deserves it. You know, because that's who I
Mhm.
am. This is who I am. This is what you get. Now, have I done bad things? Have I hurt people? Hell yeah, I've done some bad things. I knocked a guy's eye out of his head. You know, that's a story that people talk about and they tell that story. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I did some bad things. But you're not who you are, you know, or what you've done. Who are you? You're now, and where you're headed, and where you're gonna be.
Mhm.
That's what's important.
Yeah,
You know.
it absolutely is. But I will tell you this: since we've been talking about this, and it's gotten really quiet in here.
Hmm.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's not
Hmm.
amazing. It is. It's not. It doesn't confound me, but it is what it is. And
Right.
Brandy, I'm gonna talk to you
Hmm.
again after the show. I'm going to try to
Okay.
get back on track here and get this stuff going on, and we'll talk again, and hopefully we can get this straight. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I look
Yeah.
forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk. Are you gonna? You got to go to bed early?
Well, I'm gonna go in and make myself comfortable, I guess, and
Yeah.
relax a little bit.
Make sure that you pray yourself up before you go to sleep.
Oh, I'm definitely going to. Yes, I am
And
definitely doing that. Because, like I said, we just had this conversation right before I got on with you, and I've had enough. I've had
hmm
enough.
and thank God because God rids these things from you. So you need to thank God because it's already done in Jesus' name.
Everything happens
Thank
for a
you.
reason.
You came on
Yes.
tonight. There was a reason why I didn't have a guest, and why I was like the other day. I was like, oh, and I had already thought about you guys, and I was like, hey, yeah, let's get her on. We've already had Krista. We need to have you.
Yeah.
Things happen for a
Yeah.
reason. God's always got a plan. It's you just up to you to execute it. So
Yeah. Well, it's starting and it's starting now. So, thank you
yeah,
so much for talking to me about it.
yeah. And sorry that the show went kind of wonky and everything was happening the way it did, but that's all part of it too, isn't it? Right?
Yeah,
So
it is. It is. It's the forces that be trying to get in the way.
that's right.
It's
Principalities in
good.
high places. Believe me. Brandy, I'm going to come on your show. Let me know when we can do this, and I'll bring my audience. We all travel together. We're a big family. We'll
Absolutely.
load up the van, and we'll all just head over to Blondes and Booze.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay. I'll see you, and you stay prayed up, and God bless.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Folks, that is not what we expected to happen. Oh, my ears! I can't hear nothing now. That is not what I expected to happen tonight, and everybody that was here to hear stories and things like that. I'm not going to apologize because I'm not going to apologize for things that needed to be done. But when you focus your energy and you pray and you do what you got to do, you can help people. You don't know how much power we have. You don't realize the power of Christ's side.
Yeah, there was one guy in particular, and I think he's a new listener, and he wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but he left a couple comments like saying, "Hey, the title of the live stream is not really what y'all are talking about." Um, well, you might have just joined us, just info, but we actually were talking about some stories pertaining to the title of this live stream earlier in the stream, but also the live streams the titles are kind of like a little bit looser guidelines, and sometimes we just kind of shift into saying things that need to be said, having conversations that we feel like uh, need to be had. So and so we don't take it as a disrespect. We understand maybe you're new, but we have our podcast episodes that are much more like structured, rigid, and to the point, and you might enjoy those more. But we're still glad to have you on the live stream.
And typically we do tell stories on the live stream, and
Oh yeah,
that's on Sunday. We started the show off with a story, which is the title says Paranormal Stories, right?
right.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about Dogman and stuff like that. what I'm gonna tell you right now is my story that happened. I mean, I'm just gonna reiterate it. I was driving last night and I saw something standing. It was so skinny and scrawny looking. I don't even know how to. I thought it was a person for a minute that stood up. And when I was driving, I just drove, and I don't. And I talked to Lyle about this. He's a good friend of mine, and he saw. I still say he had an encounter. He saw something down in Fouke, Arkansas. I believe he saw a Bigfoot, but he doesn't claim it like me. I don't claim an experience unless I know I could see it. It's not like that one I had that was real intense. My friend who's now a preacher, he does really good work. God bless him. Daniel Robles is a good guy. But what I saw last night, my wife, there was no arguing or anything like that. We were just talking about nothing really that was what do you call it? Not like there wasn't anything bad. You know what I mean? It was just, and it was just there, and all of a sudden, all the hair on that left side of my body just stood up, and I think I might have seen a Dogman or some sort of wolf-like creature, but it wasn't very tall. It was probably about 6 foot. But what stuck out was the things on top of its head. And I just told my wife, I was like, I think I just saw a werewolf. Like I just saw one. And from where I saw it, probably not even a quarter miles where we went and took pictures, and it was in my book about Phil's encounter. And so folks, yeah, I don't know what that was. I can't tell you. There's not been a lot of Bigfoot sightings in that area. It's mostly Dogman. And, oh yeah, and Justin, don't take it wrong that we're attacking you. Whatever, it's a person that came on the show, and it's like she needed some help, and all I can do is get people to pray and try to focus and think about this. I don't believe that it was a completely human entity that was following her. You want to check that?
Yeah.
Take the.
Yeah, but we're glad to have you, Justin. Welcome
that
into
with you.
PRT.
If something's there, you got to come get me. Don't try to confront it. You hear me? All right. Somebody in the parking lot, possibly. But yeah, but you have 3 guys that do security. We're a security company, so we can handle it. Just go look, and if you see anything, come get me. All right. Don't confront them. I'll do it. But folks, and so here's the thing, and since it did run kind of long, and the numbers have just been janky, and everything's been kind of off or whatever, I want you to get your time's worth or whatever, and I thank everybody who's donated and been nice and kind to do that. But when you're dealing with these creatures or these entities, they can mimic. Now, we've talked about that before. I don't care if you saw a Bigfoot and it looked like it was flesh and blood, or it looked like, Dogman or whatever it was that it looked like. They can be certain things that can look like certain ways. People have asked me many times over and over again, how can a creature that looks so flesh and blood and does things that are flesh and blood? And somebody posed that in one of the groups that I'm in. They said, how does Dogman do these things? If it's not flesh and blood, how does it do physical things like poop, or have babies and things like that? You and I are metaphysical too. It's just that people don't accept it, and they believe in a half-truth science that's poppycock. And I'm telling you right now, our science is so incomplete. Like we don't even know, we don't know anything. Yeah. It's all theory and conjecture, and then, I believe in science. Yeah, really? I do too.
Explain consciousness.
Yeah.
You can't.
They can't even explain how we are here talking and doing what we do. So these people that believe in science, it's always like, oh, well, the data, And then I've had people want to come on and talk about the data. And I'm like, I don't want to bore my audience to sleep talking about data. Because nobody cares. Honestly, nobody cares. They don't. Nobody cares about your data. People want to hear a good encounter story. People want to see, these things like us talk about that, whatever. So somebody who's never had an encounter, hasn't written anything, doesn't have any information about it, and they'll come on and they'll be, you'll be asleep. It's like talking about insurance premiums. Now, here's the thing, folks. The good news is we have the conference set up. The website, the link to it will be released. I'm going to take a look at it and make sure that it's all systems go before you go and pay for it, because I haven't watched it. It's 14 hours. So probably going to do a lot of fast forwarding, especially when I'm talking. But I want to make sure. So by Sunday, that should be up and good to go. I'm gonna make sure that it's all good. Okay. So we're hoping that maybe Saturday night, Sunday morning, depending on where you live. We have a lot of fans in the UK and Europe, and so depending on where you and in Australia, we got to make sure that it's good, right? And explain to them how we do it, how it's going to be done. The conference stream thing.
Okay, yeah. So the conference is going to be on this website called Vimeo. We're going to post a link to it in the Paranormal Roundtable group, as well as on YouTube. And you just click that link; it'll take you to Vimeo. And on that website, you'll be able to purchase the live stream and watch it. It's going to be $19.99, and I think. Yeah, I mean it's pretty much that simple. Now I believe you will have to make an account on Vimeo, and because you have to put in some payment information. But once you do that, you should be good to go, and you can watch the full recording of all the speakers' presentations.
Yeah, and it's like $20, I believe, is what it is. I didn't set the price, but I was told $30, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Even though you're getting 14 hours of content, and you basically are going to be renting it, you have 30 days to watch it. So 30 days, you get it for $20, and then you get to watch it, and it's 30 days. And so that's that, and that's how it's going to work. And so you can go on there, and you have 30 days to watch it, and you can see the conference or whatever. And I'm sorry that if I am sorry for this, that this entity that's been bothering her interrupted our whatever. But for me, if you can help one person, that's important. You know what I mean? That's
I mean, the show comes second when it comes to
something like that, and we've had to do this before. This isn't new for us. We've been through it all.
Yeah, when the spirit moves you, you have to answer.
Yeah, and so I'll leave you with this. Since you stuck around this long, I'll tell you a quick story. I got a Dogman story, and of course, this place, it's Romania. It's like where a lot of people, and so there was a female that listens to the show. She's in Romania, and she sent me a story. I think it was Moravia. I want to say. Hold on one second, folks, and I'll give you this story. It's not a real long one, but it's pretty interesting. Not right. Not correct. Oh, there it is. It's Moldova. Yeah, the Moldova. It's a country in Europe. Yeah, that's where it's at. It's Moldavian. So it's a small country in Europe, and it's in Eastern Europe. And she said when she was a child, she actually burnt. Listen to this. This is a crazy story now, and I'm not telling you this is like the absolute gospel, but she said that she was a Roman Catholic. Oh, I'm sorry. She was Orthodox Christian. Her mom was a Roman Catholic. She had converted, and her dad had converted her to Orthodoxy. They had converted. When she's not very old. She's only like in her early 30s. But when she was a child, she said that this thing came to her window. And I'm going to be doing a show about skinwalkers not long from now. And this is what happened. She said that for 3 nights in a row, there was a creature, a wolf-like creature, that would come to her door or her window. And she told her mom and dad about it, but her parents were very business-minded. She was like a latchkey kid. Her parents worked a lot, which she said actually was not the norm there for where she's from. And she said that one of the things that did, and this thing was creepy looking as heck. And the thing I saw last night, it was so dark, I couldn't get a good look, and I went by it too quickly, so I can't even really claim. I don't know what it was, But she said this one, and it kind of reminded me of this story, that it was tall and thin and lanky, and it was gray. Not like it was gray and like it was old, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like gray, like its fur was gray. And so she was a kid. She was only like 7 years old, and she slept by the window, and she had a younger sister that slept on the other side of the room. Her little sister wakes her up one day, and she had a couple other creepy things that happened. So like one day, her little sister wakes her up, and her eyes were glowing green, which freaked her out. That preceded this. Subsequently, this thing comes to the window and starts like knocking on the window. And oh god, the description of this thing: tall, lanky, and she said when she looked over to the right, she said it was like this thing was looking at her, just kind of blinking its eyes, and the eyes were green because she had noticed that I had talked about the green eyes on the show. I think we talked about the conference too. And she says, my ears perked up when I remember hearing you say about the green, And she said she looks out the window and the thing just kind of opens its mouth and she said that it was like its snout got longer, like real quick, and its teeth were like a lot of teeth. And she said that she saw its nose like bump the glass like that, and she was like had her hand on the windowsill, the window, because it was summertime and it was hot. They didn't have a fan, or all she had was a fan. The window was open like that much, and her parents would go around and tell them all to open the windows just a little bit. And they didn't believe her when she was telling them about this wolf-like creature. This was the second night when she actually saw the eyes, because she closed her eyes, covered her head. She thought she was hallucinating or like dreaming, right? This thing's hand slides in under the glass, and then it like gets its hand under there. She says she watched it, and she was too terrified to do anything. So she just sat there, and she was like, I'm watching this thing, and it's looking at me the whole time, moving its hand, So I'm kind of reenacting what I read. But she said it was like just kind of staring straight ahead and looking at it, and then it smiled like, yeah. And then she said that its hand, almost like its wrist, got thinner to where it could turn, it contorted, and it put its hand like that. And then it pulled back and then started pushing the window up like that. And it had removed the screen.
Huh.
Like this thing didn't tear the screen up. It was very calculating. And she was just like, oh my gosh. She had a rosary that her mother had given her. And she didn't know what else to do. And so she was holding it by her chest. And she said that this thing spoke to her. And it said that it was weird. It was like it was trying to tell her, it was like, whatever's in your hands is not going to help you. And but it kept saying it. Like it was trying to convince her in her mind that what she was doing was not going to work. Like, you're done. You're going to be, I'm going to consume you, because she thought that this thing was trying to get in to kill and eat her. That's what she was telling it. And whenever this thing was moving the window, she said it began to shake, and it was like it wasn't able to do it, and it was like it was struggling, and you could see its face grimacing. And she said it had these skinny shoulders, so it kind of contorted them and popped back. And she said right there before my eyes, this creature became larger, like bigger, and she was like, what the heck am I looking at? And this is weird. I mean, you wait till the story I tell you next week or on Sunday. But these things do some weird things. And she says, I was so afraid. And she says that when it pushed its hand through there. She said, I took the rosary and I just instinctively, I stuck it in its hand. And she said that it grabbed it, and to this day, she doesn't know why it did, and pulled it through. And then she said it just kind of went like, "Aah!" And then it looked at its hand, and the rosary had fallen through the hand. The rosary was made of silver. And you remember when they were telling us that they could give us a rosary, it was silver?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, rosary or St. Benedict, whatever you want, whatever you did. But this thing, it went right through its hand. She said when it yelled, it sounded like 1,000 voices all talking in unison. And then she's like, it called her the expletive, and then it backed up and was like shaking and vibrating and moving around. And when she saw it kind of undulating and going back and forth, and then she saw it walking all weird, and then it just took off. She said where she lived, it was on the edge of town, and there was like a fence right there, like a barbed wire or whatever. And it went over the fence and flipped over it and then got up. And then she said it looked like smoke was coming, a black smoke, and let its arm look like it was coming apart. So she don't know what happened to it, but it never bothered her again. And the next day, she went outside, and she said she looked and she couldn't find the rosary. It was gone. And she was like, I wonder what happened to it. So about 2 or 3 days go by, and get this, her little sister comes up to her and she's playing with this. She's like 4 years old, and she's playing with it, and she's like, "That's my rosary," and she's like, "Yes." She's like, "The nice lady outside told me to give it to you," and she's like, "What lady?" She's like, "I don't know. She was wearing all white, and she had really pretty blue eyes, and the little girl was like, la la la, kind of kid, you know. That's what I'm imagining that she was like that." And she gave it to her, and she's like, my little sister knew nothing of these nothing at all that had happened. And she thought, wow, that's weird, a woman. So years later, that was when she was a kid, right? She was 25 years old. She said she was driving through Germany, and she had a wreck. And when she wrecked, her car flipped, and she broke her shoulder, her clavicle, a bunch of stuff broke, basically. And she said that a woman appeared and pulled her out like that. And when she looked up and she saw this woman, now this is what she said. I'm not saying this is what I believe or what I know, but this is just a story that was given to me. When she looked at her, she saw like it was the sun, you know, was coming down over this woman's head. It looked like a cross, and she, in her mind, in her immediately she thought it was Mary. And she's like, "My child, you're not done," and pulled her out of this wreck. Unfortunately, her friend passed away during the wreck, and that's very tragic. But she was spared, and so it was so to me mind numbing. I was just like, wow. And she's like, I don't know if Mary was the one that took the rosary and gave it back to me, or whatever. But she said that it was very it was meaningful, you know. And she doesn't know how her little sister got it. And she said the little sister said this is where she found it. She said she saw it laying on the edge of the couch. She's like, "Where'd you find it?" She's like, and she points to the sofa. It was just there, laid out. Her mom and dad don't know. It was just her and her sister. They didn't. And mom and dad did not know how this rosary appeared. You know, they don't know. They were just like, that's weird. So anyway, that's a story that was given to me. It's a very weird story, and I wanted to tell you guys. It was somebody who was like, I really wish I could have been at the conference, but I live in another country, and she doesn't live there now either. She lives like in Slovakia, but it's speaks volumes. You know, like, you know, it's just somebody said that in the chat right there. It speaks volumes. It's a crazy story, but yeah, that's what ended up happening to this particular person. Now we are going to get into some stories. You know, you know, conversation I had today. I'll give you a little teaser. I had a conversation with Christopher Jordan, who was at the conference. He's a big UFO guy, whatever. And he was talking about how when you're abducted, you resonate on a different vibration, and then that can draw hauntings and other things to you. But I gave him some information about a guy named Cody that I had interviewed, and we wanted to know what he thought about this. And I said, Christopher, what if the haunting comes first and then
Yeah, I remember you saying, "What if
Yeah.
it happens? What if it happens both
several
ways?"
years and then it gets the opposite?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to discuss that on Sunday. I can't wait. I'm excited. Folks, I'm sorry that the stream is jumping all over the place. I don't know what the real numbers are. It's the first time we haven't hit, you know. Oh, we did hit 500 because
We
it
hit
bounced
500
all
somewhere.
over,
we-
you know.
I think we
somewhere.
hit like 520 or something.
We
like
always
that.
do, but I mean, and I'm not sounding like, oh yeah, we're always, you know. No, I'm not talking like that.
No, we just
I'm-
expect that. I mean,
we expect that.
Yeah, because our PRT, we know our PRT fans
Yeah, we
here
know
for
our
it.
audience, and so anyway, that's the Dogman story, and the Bigfoot will have to wait. I'm sorry, folks, for everybody that, but you know, duty calls, and if your job, you know, it is your job, everybody's job to help each other, take care of each other.
You helped when you were
Be
asked.
kind to each other. And, you
Well-
know, people always take that, they make it out like it's a joke or something. It's not a joke. You know, we do, you know, and I don't like talking about the things you do for people, you know, because it's like, then you're like, oh, look at me. I'm so good. I'm gooder than you, you know. We try to do everything we can to help people, and we do it every year. Christmas time, whatever. You try to, you know, if you can't, if you don't have the money, say happy birthday to somebody. It might make their day. There's people out there that I see on Facebook and they're lonely, they're sad. Come be a part of our PRT, you know, because we care about our listeners. We do. And guess what? The giveaways are back.
Mm-hmm. We're back here.
Yeah, giveaways are back. So I'm going to let Tony, who just, I don't know why I'm going to let him do this. He's very responsible, but I'm going to let him pick somebody out of the audience.
I pick me. Let's see. We're gonna do a giveaway, huh? I think I know exactly who to give it to. It's Brooke's birthday today.
Is it?
Yep. So I think I'm gonna choose her because I think that would be perfect. So happy birthday, Brooks! I choose you.
Yeah. And what do you think we should give her?
A crisp high five.
A crisp 5. Oh, I think we're all out of those. Sorry, you're gonna have to be satisfied with happy
You want a
birthday.
high one? We'll snap for you.
So what do you guys think? Let's let the audience. What do you think? We should give her a shirt? Audience, we'll see the votes here. Or what do you think we should do? Do you think we should give her like an autographed copy of my book? Or do you think we should give her what do you want, Brooks? Tell me what you want. We'll let you set a dealer's choice. How about what you want? You're the
We
player.
got books, we got shirts, we got hats, we got
Brooke says
mugs.
love shirts. Oh man, hurt my feelings. She don't want my book. She's like, I don't want to read that crap. I can listen to you all day. I don't need to listen. I don't need to read it. So, what size are you? Tell us all on this. I'm kidding. You know how to get a hold of me. Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com. You tell me your shirt size, and we'll send it to you. And then anybody who's Patreon who hasn't gotten their stuff, or if you're new, you're getting signed up, whatever, don't worry. We'll take care of you. We got this. We're good. We're back in business, folks. The conference took up a lot of time and energy, but that's it, you know. So just send us your information, Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com. Or if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can hit me up on Messenger. I'm also on Instagram, Josh Turner 940. Tony, you are too. What is yours?
PRT Mushu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Thank everybody for listening. Thank everyone who went to the conference. Remember to get Josh's books on Amazon.
still got to get used to being called Josh. I didn't, you know, it's
Yeah.
been 4 years of being called Josh. And Anthony, you know this. Even my parents called me Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like,
weird. It's like
Nobody
because
calls me Josh.
they would come to me at the conference and be like, "Oh, I love Josh," and I'll be like,
You thinking of Josh and Nokia?
"Yeah, I'm
You're
like,
Josh and Nokia?
Josh isn't around here." I think
Because in Austin,
Yeah.
everybody just knows me as Wolf. You go around and they say Josh, they're like, you say Wolf, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we know who that is. I mean, you know, that's how they know me. But yeah, there you go, Brooks. Just messenger me. It's much easier and whatever, and we'll get your stuff out right to you. Thank you all for being the listeners of the show. We truly do appreciate it. I see Samuel Lemon, Bernard Fox, so many people who were at the conference. It's freaking, you know.
DJ Tyler. I think
Yeah,
he was
Joe
in there.
Breezy. Breezy's a great guy, man. I hope you don't leave
Yeah.
Facebook. I know you get annoyed with it and everything, man, but who knows? You know, and then we got a new guy here, Justin. You know, what do you think of the show, Justin? I know that it kind of got off the rails with what happened, but I mean, if you go back and you listen, you might be surprised. And if you come back, I'll tell you what, Justin, I'll make you a deal and I'll give you my guarantee. You come back next Friday, and if you're in the chat, I'll send you a shirt. Everybody heard me say that. If you don't come back, you're not an American. You're not an American. All right?
And if you ask for a shirt, it was fake news.
Hey, show, do it again. Show. Do it again.
You asked for a shirt, it's fake news. We never said it. We never will say it.
These are nasty people, folks. These are I'm telling you. These are nasty. They're very bad people. Philadelphia, ugh. The Eagles, I'm telling you, gross.
Amazing, Tom.
It's the amazing stuff. All right, guys. Justin, like I said, come back on Friday. We'll see you in the chat. Mike Turner, hey, man, it was good hanging out with you. Marquetta, you're awesome, too. Phil Stern, you guys, Madeline, y'all the best. Lolo, y'all the best.
Matt
You-
Imch is in the house with us.
Matt Emsch, we got all the cool
Such a
kids.
nice
Corley,
person.
what's up, Corley? I mean, this is where it's at, right? Dick Richards, you got Elastic over here. He's back finally. What's going on?
Not
You
yet,
got your-
Corley. It will probably be ready, if not by Sunday, then Monday.
Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is. Everybody, have a good night. Thank you for those that donated, and we'll see you on the flip side on Sunday. Now, I got to talk about this case that I got, and we've been discussing it. Very interesting stuff. We're going to do it again on Sunday. We'll see you. Okay? Good night.